Hey there, cinephiles. Welcome to Yeti Talks, the show in which I bring on guests. Today, we are getting into some film hot takes because it is so dang hot outside. And with that, I have a very special guest today. He's been a really good friend of mine. He's also a fellow critic. He also thinks my average take is a hot take in and of itself. Today, I have the very first guest who might be my relative here on Yeti Talks, sorry. That's right, I have Anthony Perez. How are you doing,
dude?
Anthony?
I'm chilling, brother. Thank you for having me on once again. And I'm excited to get into some hot takes. As you mentioned there, you tend to have hot takes very often. So I'm not surprised that we're doing this. But good to be back. First time in the actual podcast studio. Last time we had to do it via Zoom. So this should be cool.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. I'm excited to have you here. It's going to be very fun, especially with hot takes. You and I always kind of talk about other people's takes, and
Right.
you also always make fun of mine right after a screening.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I pulled some hot takes over on Instagram from some friends of mine and fans, and we're also going to get into some of ours. It's going to be a very fun time, and I'm excited because you haven't seen any of the takes from the fans yet.
Right.
And I haven't heard your takes. I've heard one of them.
Right. I am reviving one from
Yeah.
when you did a hot take episode on by yourself last year, I think
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, you did the same kind of thing. You posted something on Instagram or on YouTube and just had people submit hot takes. So I submitted one. And, of course, I just got to hear you say your thoughts on it and you breezed by it. I'm like, nah, we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, that's why I had to bring you on. I'm glad you brought up that similar hot take again, which we'll get into in a little bit. So let's get into some takes from fans, which I'm so excited for your thoughts, especially on some of these.
Yeah.
Some of them are very timely too. So that's going to be very fun to get into.
I'm ready.
All right. So the first hot take is from Jeff Pemberton. Shout out to him. Good friend of mine. He also works on Post Credit Patrol.
I'm so sorry.
You're
I'm so
good.
sorry. As soon as I took the sip of water, I was like, fuck, this is happening. Sorry, everybody. Yeti Talks. We're professionals here
Yeah.
at Yeti Talks.
But his hot take is, after rewatching the Toy Story films, I think the fourth one might be the best.
Wow.
Thoughts?
I don't think, here's the worst part about Toy Story, or the best or the worst part. I think they're usually batting 100. Now, do I think the fourth one is the best one? No. I actually just rewatched all of them, and right after seeing the fifth one. So I haven't rewatched the fifth one, but I really like the fifth one. I think the fourth one is a good movie, but I would argue it's probably the worst one. I don't think it's a bad movie at all, but I think for a series that's batting nearly 100, or it's pretty great almost every time that they have an outing. Even the short films for Toy Story are all pretty fun. I think Toy Story 4 is definitely amongst the better animated. Like just that opening scene alone where, with everything with Bo Peep and the rain and Woody and stuff like all of that is just fantastic looking, especially when you look at like the first movie and just like how simple it is in today compared to today. But, I wouldn't say that's a crazy hot take, but it is it's I guess you could say within the Toy Story franchise, it's a hot take. But if Toy Story 4 sucked, then maybe I'd feel some kind of way about it. But what do you think? Do you think that's terrible?
No, I don't think it's the worst one. That's also kind of why I started with it. I'm like, oh, it's a little bit of a softball.
Starting a little bit more
Yeah.
cool, all right?
No, for sure. I mean, we'll turn up the temperature as we go on. No, for this one, I also, look, a hot take usually means like the majority of people think it's wrong. You
Right.
know, so I do think this is wrong. I did my own ranking of the Toy Story films recently. I didn't rewatch them all very recently. But, within the past few years, so like I still have pretty strong memories and thoughts on each of these films. And I think it's easy to say that the fourth one's the worst one.
Yeah.
Like the only one it's in competition with is the fifth one. And
Right.
even then, I still think 5 clears.
Yeah. I agree.
But it's not, like you said, it's not bad.
Yeah,
None of the Toy
it's
Story
like-
movies are bad.
It's a lukewarm take.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it like that. I don't know. The best way I could say it is just like, it's tough because the series is so good.
Yeah.
That it seems like one of those where if somebody told me that the fourth one was their favorite, I might go, how old are you? You know what I mean? Like genuinely, I might ask
Yeah.
that question first instead of it being more of like, oh, your taste is bad. Because your taste is that you like the movie and the movie's good. Like I think Toy Story 4 is a solid movie. So, it's not a situation where it feels like offensive, where it's like, oh, come on. Like the other one's clearly clear. The other ones do clearly clear, but like, I don't know. I'd say 2 and 3 are amongst the best in
Yeah.
the franchise. But if you enjoyed the fourth one more, you know, I don't know, maybe you think you're trash, and you just need to kind of feel validated by Forky. Who knows? Maybe
That's
Forky's your
true.
favorite character of all time.
Yeah. Could be that. It could also be you like the arc that Woody gets,
Which
you
is
know?
good.
It's a good arc for
Yeah.
sure. Those aren't my issues with the film, Forky or Woody. It's more so just it feels like too much is happening.
Yeah.
Almost. I kind of wish it just kind of honed in on certain things.
Right. And it just doesn't feel nearly as emotional as the other ones do in the grand scheme of it. Like there's definitely elements about the film that have emotion, especially in the latter part, and especially the moments with Bo Peep and with Woody. But when you think about like the other key emotional moments, there's also feels like every movie also introduces like something really, really memorable, whether it's a villain, a character altogether, a song. And I just don't think outside of Forky that the fourth movie has that level of like memorable new characters. And even the villain in comparison to, you know, Stinky Pete or Lotso, it's just not on the same level, you know,
No,
or even
for
Sid.
sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And even to extend it to 5, like, you know, I think you speak about the emotionality of the film, and I think 5 is much more emotional,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't have potentially as memorable of as an introduction of a character as Forky, you know?
Right. But I would argue that, yeah, it's like a companion piece to the first two in particular. Like, and
Yes.
having just recently watched them with Jesse being the centerfold or the center character at of the fifth one, and if so much of it pulling back to her time with Emily, I believe is the character, and like, you know, all of that in the second movie, and like really paying off that arc, not to mention the callbacks to the other buzzes, the, you know, falling with style, all these different like call and response moments from the first two. It's so deeply rooted in the emotion of the first two that because those are amongst the best, I think, you know, I think there's a reason that Forky has like a couple funny lines in the fifth
Yeah.
movie, and that's about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they were riding on Forky, man, whether it was with the merchandise, whether it was just with how much they used him in the fourth film. And then in recent weeks, I've been going through Disney Plus and just watching all the Toy Story shorts I hadn't seen. And a big chunk of them is this Forky Ask series where he just asks like some sort of question, or Forky has questions or something like that. And some of them are cute and fun, but they're easily like the worst of the Toy Story shorts because there's only so much you could do with Forky. He's funny, but it's
Yeah.
like, and I think that alone just kind of leaves the fourth film feeling like a good movie, but just not nearly. I honestly cannot tell you the name of the villain from the fourth movie,
Yeah. I was trying to think of it the entire time we were talking about this, and I just
and
can't.
I don't think that speaks to the quality of the
Yeah,
film.
yeah,
That could just be my own memory, you know. But it's I just don't think she's as nearly as memorable as Lotso, who's just like I just watched Toy Story 3
Yeah.
like 4 days ago. That movie's amazing. Just the final 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was crying, dude. I already know that they get saved
Yeah.
at the end, and I'm still crying. And the callbacks, the claw, like there's
Yeah.
just so many moments. So to think about Toy Story 4 even being close, it's not even just the Buzz Lightyear Spanish mode in the third movie is better than all of Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a crazy take. I'd say it's not the most hot take, though.
Yeah. I would say it's fairly lukewarm.
Yeah.
If somebody told me this, I would be like, "Oh, that's interesting," but I
Yeah.
wouldn't like want to roast them over
Yeah.
it, you know.
Now, I do want to know why, though. Maybe I'll reach out to him later after this. But
have them film why and just insert the clip.
But yeah, quick thoughts on that. Basically, it's an okay hot take, I guess.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's not bad.
It is a crazy take. Like I've never heard that really. Like that's not really anyone's
Is he young?
stance. He's a little younger than me,
All right.
so not like
So he was probably like what,
yeah,
early 20s, late teens when the movie came out?
yeah. If it was 2019,
Yeah.
yeah, so late teens, I'd say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was already deep into my 20s when the movie came out. The third movie came out the year I was graduating high school,
Oh, okay.
which ages me, I guess. But you know, like that movie was so emotionally resonant with me because of the age I was. And I can only imagine that Toy Story 4 would have a similar kind of thing for somebody who maybe grew up watching the first three and now they're in their late teens going into adulthood and they're watching a new Toy Story movie. Like it hits different at those different age brackets for sure, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I don't know, still weird, especially. I think it's just a weird take. I think.
I love how we're like, it's lukewarm, it's not that bad. You're like,
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the fun with hot takes, right? You
Yeah,
might
yeah.
not like some of them. I mean, I'd rather that than just be like, Yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, maybe there's some in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say this next one,
hot.
I do agree with. And this one
Okay.
comes from Andre, who's also part of Post Credit Patrol, good friends with
All
Jeff.
right, yeah.
His is The Godfather Part 1 is better than Part 2. Another kind of not the craziest of takes, but I know in the grand scheme of things, Part 2 is much more highly regarded than Part
Yeah.
1. But when I watched them for the first time, and I've only seen them once, I do think Part 1 is better.
I think part one has some of the more memorable moments in the series, some of the more quotable lines. I'm kind of lukewarm on this one too. I think as long as the third one's not your favorite,
Yeah.
then I'm chilling, honestly. Like, I
Yeah.
think the first one and the second one both have great elements for what they are.
Yeah.
I would say this. I think the second film is a more entertaining film, and the first film can arguably be said to be like a better film. I just think the first one's a little slow in places personally, but like I genuinely enjoy both of them. I just think, like, and I like the third film too. I just don't think it's on the same level as the first two. So, I think another lukewarm one, hey, come on guys, where are the hot takes? Where's the getting my blood boiled? Like, again, if somebody told me like the first Godfather more, which I know a lot of people who feel that way, I wouldn't really bat an eye at it. I'd be like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. So I don't disagree with them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw The Godfather, I thought we were going to get something about the third one.
Right.
So the fact that it wasn't mentioned at all, I'm like, okay, well, you know.
We'd have a discussion if it was the
Yeah.
third one was the best
Yeah.
one. Now this is just more like, yeah, I mean, The Godfather's like, out of the three of them,
Mm-hmm.
it's the one that's the most referenced in movies,
That's
Easter
true.
eggs. Like, I think there's a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like, there's some of the most iconic elements. Just the first 30 minutes of The Godfather has some of the most iconic elements of. I just got to mention real quick, just seeing all like the film school students walking by the glass here. For everybody who's watching at home, there's a huge window right here, and I'm just keep watching. I'm not used to it. Jeremy's used to it, so he's not even paying attention to it. But I think it's really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would honestly say that this is a more cold take than the Forky one was.
yeah?
Yeah, for
No,
me.
for sure.
Yeah.
I also love that you're referencing to Toy Story 4 as the Forky one. I think that speaks to what 4 ultimately boils down to.
Yeah. I mean, that is the Forky movie, Like, it stands out as that one because who else really gets time to shine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as much. When you think of the first Toy Story, you think of the whole lot, but you think of Woody and Buzz. You think of the second movie in particular, and the third one, it's the whole crew. It's centered on a few characters, but like, it's the whole squad.
Yeah.
The fourth movie, I think, is where they kind of like started to get into the one thing I don't like about the fourth and fifth movie, which is that outside of Woody, Buzz, and Jesse, like all the rest of the characters don't get a whole lot of time. They get a couple of one-liners, stuff like that. They definitely did that in the fifth one.
Yeah.
But that fourth one, it's Forky and Bo Peep,
Yeah. Unless you're a new character in the fourth and fifth one, you do not get a lot of screen time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them are the new characters that were introduced in the third one at the end. But Bonnie's Toys, which they don't have a lot of time. It's pretty minimal in the third movie, but they get a lot more time in the fourth and fifth, understandably, because now they're in Bonnie's room. But we somehow got back to Toy Story. But yeah, I think that it's the first Godfather is the most referred to. I think it's like every movie that's ever made reference to the Godfather makes it reference to that movie. So
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty cold take. I'm not going to lie. What's his name again? Andre?
Andre, yeah.
Andre. It could have been spicier, brother. It could have been spicier.
It's funny because he's had spicier takes, so
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting. He submitted this one, but I had to include it in there.
Yeah, of course.
Had to complete the post-credit patrol duo
There you go.
takes. But moving on to the next one, it's actually a friend of yours, and
Okay.
I've met him, digitally, of course. But it's Mike from Did You See That?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you already know this hot take. And it's Barbarian is the best horror movie and unpredictable in the last 5 years. Easily overlooked.
Yeah, he loves Barbarian, man. That is his favorite film of the 2020s. I recently did a series on my social media and on my YouTube page that Jeremy was a part of, where I just had a bunch of different content creators and movie reviewers and things of that nature just pop on and give me their quick best movie of the 2020s. There was some Barbies, there was some Dune Part 2, some Everything Everywhere All at Once. You gave Past Lives. I said Better Man. 2 that were not mentioned. His was also another one that was not mentioned ever again, which was Barbarian. If I'm honest, and listen, I love Mike. I think Barbarian's a good movie. I like Barbarian. I think Zach Kreger's a great director. I loved Weapons. I'm looking forward to Resident Evil. But I think that his love, I've always thought this, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with him, because he'll tell me about movies that he'll like dog on movies. Like we're talking about Toy Story, not to bring it back there too much, but I think he gave the new Toy Story like 2 or 2.5 on
I did
Letterboxd.
see that.
That's a hot take. Whereas with what's it called? With Barbarian, it started I think as a 3.5, and then I think with every rewatch he gave it like a 4, 4.5, 5 eventually. And I always tell him that that's the power of rewatches, because there's times where he'll dog on a movie, and I'm always like, I think you missed something. I think you should rewatch it. He's like, I just have no interest to rewatch it. But I'm like, but that you just showed with Barbarian that the ability for like a rewatch to clear things up. With Barbarian, it's a really good movie, and I don't even care that he gives it 5 stars, and I don't care that it's his favorite horror film or film of the last 6 years.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those situations where I just feel like his circumstances around the film made him love it a little bit more. And here's why. Mike and I are really good friends. He's one of my best friends. I was just at his wedding last year over in the UK. In the last 4 years, funny enough, we've seen each other at least once a year, whether me going over there across the pond or him coming over here. And so, which is amazing for a friend that's that far away. When he was here, I think 4 years ago when that movie came out, I think that's when it was, we hung out. The very first time we got to hang out in person, we had dinner and we went to the movies and we watched Barbarian. And it was his very first Dolby experience.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember leaving the theater, and we did a review together for my channel. And he was really high on the movie, and so was I. I don't want to sit here and toot my own horn, but there's a part of me that can't help but feel like his admiration for that film, is just absolute love for that film, stems a little bit from the memory of seeing it together and like seeing it in Dolby, his first Dolby experience. I just think it really expanded his experience. We also had a pretty solid crowd where like the key moments in the film, the laughs, those awkward laugh moments hit, the gross out moments hit with the audience. The first time you're introduced to the individual who's down below those stairs hit, like the audience reacted. And I just think he had a great theatrical experience, and he was seeing it with a friend that he was very excited to see for the first time. And so I think that's what has taken it to the top. What's your thoughts? I don't think Barbarian's a bad movie, I should mention. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, no, you and I have spoken about this, and I like Barbarian. I'm a fan. It's just one of those movies that I think is surpassed by the filmmaker's second film.
Yeah.
Like I think Weapons is better.
Yeah.
He took a lot of lessons that he's learned from Barbarian and kind of expanded upon it and became, a better filmmaker, I think. And of course, we'll see that with his newest film, Resident Evil, later this year. But Barbarian's good. It's great. It's one of those that, to me, feels much more like, not an event film, but it feels more like an experience, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about experience, which I think is very interesting, because it really does depend on like how you watch it, who you watch it with. Like the only times I felt like I've wanted to watch this movie was with a friend who hasn't seen it yet.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
like, because you want that experience. It's not a bad film. Even if I just were to watch it by myself, I still would enjoy my time. I do like the movie.
You just don't feel drawn to it.
I just don't feel drawn to it.
I haven't watched it again since I showed it to my wife. So I've only seen it twice. And it's possible that another watch could get it to 5 stars or something, but I think I had it at like 3.5, then I bumped it up to 4 the second time I saw it. And frankly, I just haven't had like a clamoring to see it again. It's a good movie.
It's good.
It is. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
But a 5-star movie? I don't know, man. Like that's 5-star for me makes me, that is reserved for a movie that is either super nostalgic for me, that my love for it is out of this world. Andor. Andor, great show.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that later, but
Oh.
a little tease. But what's it called? Or just like a movie that has like a real emotional core to it. Like, my favorite movie of the 2020s is Better Man. And that's because, not only because it's a great film, but because it actually like really, I can relate to the movie as far as like the anxiety and the depression, the substance abuse.
Yeah. And being a monkey.
Right.
Yeah.
That part, that's the most important part. But all of those elements I can really relate to. So it makes me feel emotional. Every time I see it, I feel like I'm watching not a movie by myself, but it feels like there's definitely a sense of like a mirror to a degree, and I feel like I can connect with it a little bit deeper. I'm not cocaine doing big performer, but you get the point. And I just feel like Better Man just doesn't. I mean, I'm sorry. I just feel like Barbarian doesn't have that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Barbarian has great elements. It's a really interesting film. There's some fun surprise. But after you've seen it once, does it have the same impact? I don't think so. It only has the impact, like you said, of showing it to somebody else. Whereas like something like Weapons, I feel like watching it again, you see more that you don't like. There's like elements about it. Like Weapons leaves you kind of questioning things. Like, oh, what did all that mean?
Yeah.
There's still things I'm still figuring out about that movie.
Yeah.
Like the big floating assault rifle. Like I think I know what that meant, but I feel like I'm just kind of coming up with my own thing. Whereas Barbarian, I feel like just doesn't have that kind of deep, layered storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, like there was like I did a video on it, and that was actually one of my more successful videos.
Oh wow.
Which shout out Barbarian actually. It is a 5 stars. No, but like, there's this layer of like, what does it mean to be a barbarian? What are the like levels of barbarian in men? You have like the nice guy, you have the creature, and you have the actual worst thing in the world, which is the true barbarian, which was the guy who created the quote unquote barbarian creature. So like there's that fun layer.
Yeah,
but
I'm not saying it's
like
not layered, but it's not. I just don't feel like you're gonna be like meditating on it.
No,
like,
for sure. Yeah. And kind of to my point, it's like once you figure out that layer, I feel like there's nothing really deeper than that.
Yeah.
And if you find more stuff, great. Let me know down in the comments below, because I'm always curious to see what people read. That's the whole fun of art. It's to see what people read into it, even if it's completely unintended. But with Barbarian, it does. Like you said, there's only so much to it.
Yeah.
And once you get past that, there's fun scenes. I would watch some of these scenes, But with Weapons, I don't know. To me, that feels more like such a full-rounded movie that you can watch, as opposed to a Barbarian, which feels much more like a fun experience, almost like it could have been a very fun like YouTube video or walkthrough experience or something like that you do with friends and is like a fun time,
right?
As opposed to what you and I love more, which is like a full film, like something
or
that's
like
just like
meatier characters.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really the thing with Barbarian that loses me a little bit is there's not meatier characters. Like you have, I guess even our main character, there's kind of a mystery around her. Like she just kind of shows up for a job and you don't know much else about her. She's just the vessel for the audience to go through this crazy experience. But by the time it's over, you don't really, what do you learn about her on a deeper level? Not much. Justin Long's character, you do understand, he seems like one thing on the surface, but all it takes is that car drive, at the very beginning where he's talking about the allegations that are being made about him to kind of get a grip of who he is.
Yeah.
He's kind of selfish. He's, got his own, nice guy on the outside, barbarian on the inside to a degree, selfish kind of approach to things. And that, of course, leads to like the end where, you think he's really the nice guy and he's really not. But it's like, what else do you learn about him? Not much. You don't learn jack diddly about the real barbarian in the movie.
Exactly.
You just know he was a sicko. And then you find him in a bed later on. And then there's a hairy nipple lady in the movie, What deeper characters are there? Whereas when you watch Weapons, Josh Brolin's character alone, which sometimes I love Pedro Pascal, but I'm so grateful that the scheduling conflicts for the movie. I don't know if you know like all the different actors that were meant to play different characters.
Renee Rensiv.
Yeah.
Look, I love all those actors that were the other ones, but they definitely went the right direction.
I think so, because for sure. It worked out the way it was supposed to. It just would have been
such a different movie.
Yeah. I think everybody except for the guy who plays the crackhead, who's also in Resident Evil. His name is escaping me right now.
I forget. Yeah. But that guy. Yeah.
Jeremy will put it on the screen. But or he won't. Who knows?
I'll look it up.
But yeah, I mean, everybody in that film killed it, and you have layered characters. You know what I mean? Like, even in things that aren't explored deeply. You have the relationship between Alden Ehrenreich's character and the teacher. Yeah. And there's like all these little things that you kind of get to understand about who these characters were before. You get a sense of who they are now. You have a great, father chasing for his son at the center. Even the home life with the little boy. Like there were so many like little details that are expanded. You feel like you actually have like a meaty group of characters. And it just, with Barbarian, you don't have that. So I'm sorry, Mike. I mean, listen, I don't think it's another one. Do I think it's the hottest take in the world? No. I mean, I think this is just like a preference thing where it's like, cool. The only time I give him a hard time about this is when he gives another movie that's way better than Barbarian a bad score.
Yeah.
Or like, for instance, my favorite movie of the 2020s, Better Man, which I harped on about for so long with him. He gave it like a 3. I'm like, dude, that movie's so much better than a 6 out of 10. I'm not expecting other people to feel, because I always tell them like, a 3 out of 5 is 6 out of 10. You're kidding me. And you gave Barbarian a 10 out of 10. You're crazy. But it's like, I'm not expecting that movie to be a 10 out of 10 for everybody, but it's at least a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. But, I don't know.
An 11 out of 10.
What do you think? Do you think it's really that bad? I'm actually curious. I'm going to look up to see what he gave Past Lives.
Oh my gosh. Let's get into that. So Austin Abrams is the tweaker from
right.
Weapons, who's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to be in Resident Evil. I mean, so well cast. I mean, Aunt Gladys, who played by Emmy Madigan, that was an Oscar-winning performance as well.
So he gave Past Lives a 3.5. So it's just crazy, right? Because hell nah.
Yeah.
That's a 5-star movie.
Yeah. And, I was crazy in my own right because I gave it a 4.5. And then immediately I was regretting it. And I'm like, well, let me just watch it again.
I gave it a 4.5 the first time too. But I think that's okay. I
Yeah.
give every movie that I give a 5-star to a 4.5 the first time.
Yeah.
Until I see it a second time to see if I really feel like it's deserving. I just did that with the movie that we just saw recently, The Invite, where for the kind of movie it is. Now, I don't know that it'll get that 5-star bump, but for what it is, it's a 4.5 for me right now.
Yeah.
But I do that
Likewise.
from time to time. And then sometimes you'll rewatch something like. Then there's some movies that a lot of people say are 5 stars, and you're like, what, I just can't give it that 5, but I'll give it that 4.5.
Yeah.
I just rewatched Oppenheimer yesterday for the first time since the theaters, and that was like I solidified like this is a 4.5 movie.
Yeah.
Only for me, just because there's certain story beats that I feel because there's so much that they're jam packing into that 3 hours that like sometimes it's like, geez, like we're breezing by things so quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that I can't emotionally connect to it.
Yeah.
It's that emotional part.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna get me to that 5-star. Like I gotta feel something. You
Yeah.
gotta give me something. I gotta feel something.
No,
and
for
if I don't feel like I'm holding back a little bit of tears, or in the case of a horror movie, I don't need it, but if I just gotta get under my skin.
Yeah.
And Barbarian didn't do that.
Yeah. You just need like such a strong emotional push.
It's got to be an emotion to some degree. That the only horror movie I've given a 5-star to this year was Obsession, because it was the only movie that I've seen this year, horror wise, that genuinely made me feel like, ugh, this is uncomfortable. That bedroom scene alone, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's become like the movie's so popular, it's because everybody's talked it to death. But I saw it like earliest screening as I could before the hype really blew up. Like there was already kind of like some buzz for it.
Yeah.
But I went and saw that just because you may know I did a collab with Cody Leach, and when we did we're doing our top 3 horror films of the year, he said Obsession, but it hadn't come out yet. He was like, "This is mine," but it's a cop out because it hasn't come out yet. And then then it turned out to be that, and he was like, and I messaged him immediately after. I was like, "Oh, you were absolutely right. Like that movie was phenomenal."
Yeah.
But so I think that's the thing with Barbarian. Did I lose any sleep about it? Did I turn the lights off and ever feel uncomfortable? No.
Yeah. I mean, like, genuinely, it's just one of those movies, and I'm so sorry, Mike, from Did You See That? It's just one of those that, like, I haven't really put much thought into outside of a couple times.
Yeah.
Whereas, and this just goes in general, like a Past Lives or anything that is like a 4.5, 5 for me, or grows to be a 5. Like, it's one of those where I have to, like, think about it. I have to want to recommend it, even if I know the person I'm recommending it to doesn't like the movie, like won't like it.
Yeah.
I still have to be like, well, you'll like it for this.
Yeah.
And like, I know your taste is geared more this way, but it'll do these certain things well enough, and I think you can appreciate that.
Yeah,
like I'll find a reason for you to
You're
like
trying to
it.
sell it as much as you can. With Barbarian, like for instance, like my dad doesn't like horror at all. But when I see a horror movie I really like Obsession, my dad's actually his interest is piqued because he's seen so much buzz about it. And he wants to see it because he's heard it's not like a spiritual, I told him there's kind of a spiritual element to it, but like it's not like a Conjuring.
Yeah.
My dad's like religious. He doesn't like anything that's like demonic or satanic or anything like that. But I was telling him that like I think you'll at least appreciate like the performances and like what it has to say about like codependency and relationships and things of that nature. I don't know that my dad's gonna like it because he doesn't like horror, but you know, it's kind of like when I got him to go watch It with me. He didn't want to watch it, The Evil Clown, but I was like, I told him because it was right off the tails of Stranger Things. I go, it's just like Stranger Things, but with the clown. I was like a very Stranger Things, like E.T. kind of thing, and I got him to go with me to see it in theaters. And you know, like I don't think he loved it, but he liked it. You know, so I know what you mean. It's like if you really love a movie, you'll find a way to get the person to check it out. You know, and that's the same thing with me with Better Man. I was telling people, like, especially people I know that don't like musicals.
Yeah.
I had to get past that hurdle.
Yeah. God.
You know, which is so silly.
That should have been one of my hot takes regarding musicals. But
I thought about that too, but no, I went a different way. But yeah, all in all, Mike, you know, I don't think it's a massively hot take, but clearly we just don't agree that it's like, you know, like I just think that movie for me is like not deserving of the love he gives it. But at the same time, I love when somebody loves something so heavily that isn't usually loved as much.
Likewise.
Yeah.
But I think definitely the hottest of the takes so far, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's not going to be hotter than the one, at least my first one.
Yeah.
or honestly, my second one. The one that you don't know about that I chose specifically for you.
Okay. It's going to be Past Lives actually sucks.
No, that's not happening.
All right, so let's move on to another hot take. Let's get into this one. So I had a good friend of mine who also has a channel. Shout out Malu. She submitted 3 hot takes.
Okay.
We're going to kind of breeze by them because they're all kind of funny to me. But we'll start with the coldest one of the 3, or at least in my opinion. And that's Chicken Little is a great movie.
I think Chicken Little's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie, but it's I compared to other Disney movies. But when I look back at like the early days of 3D animated Disney movies, you know, I think when you look at what they had released right before, I think that's the real kicker.
Yeah.
And where they would go right after this.
Yeah.
That's where it struggled. But I think is it the first 3D animated Disney movie?
Not sure. Let me see.
I think it is. I could be wrong. And if that's the case, that's awesome. But like, what year did it come out?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, you're looking it up. All right.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna say it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. I remember going to see that in theaters, and having really fond memories of going to see it in theaters. And the reason was, I went with my dad and my sister to the theaters to watch it at a small movie co in Hialeah. Shout out anybody from South Florida that knows Hialeah. And so we went to the movies, and my sister and my dad wanted to watch something else. I had to pause there for a second because I was trying to remember which one they went to go see. But whatever it was, I wanted to see Chicken Little. So my dad bought me a ticket to Chicken Little. And let me throw it back like this. The theater was so old at the time that it was one of those classic theaters where when you walk through the doors to get into the actual theater, there was no like auditorium seating. It was kind of one of those where like the screen's at the end and there's like a slight decline. You know, the seats just have like a little bit of a decline.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of theaters like that growing up as a kid. I'm a little bit older than you, as I made clear earlier.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit more common at theaters back in the day. So I remember going to see it and I had a good time. I've seen it many times since. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah. Is it the first 3D animated movie?
So it is the first 3D animated movie for Disney.
Right.
It's also the first digital 3D mainstream film too. So like the real D, or not real D 3D, but you know, like those 3D.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which I thought that's interesting.
I didn't know that one. I don't think I saw it like that in theaters, but yeah, I looking at it through that lens, I think it's solid.
Yeah.
But I think when you think about the movies that came out, what year did it come out?
05.
05. So at this point, you know, Tarzan came out in 99.
Yeah.
Talk about, I still think maybe the best looking 2D Disney animated film of all time.
Ooh, interesting.
Maybe. Just in terms of like balance of 2D and 3D animation. Perfect. Just think about the scene where Sabor, the jaguar, is chasing Tarzan and he runs off the side of the you know, like the side of the tree with he's swinging, and it's like that whole fight scene. Incredible. Like the animation of that, the whole beginning sequence when his parents are jumping off the boat with the, you know, and it's raining and there's fire. Incredible animation. Then they do Lilo and Stitch, where they have like, which looks incredible, like
Yeah.
in the early 2000s. And I don't remember what year. I know the last one they did technically was Princess and the Frog.
Yes, '09. I
Yeah,
think
so
it
they
is.
so they were dipping their toes in the water before they completely abandoned it. But when you just look at what came out around Chicken
Yeah.
Little, it does get sandwiched in between way better looking and way more memorable films.
Yeah.
But I think Chicken Little's fine.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But going off of like what people's takes are with that movie, they'll often say that's like the worst or amongst the worst of Disney
Yeah,
specific films. Which does have a high standard because it is Disney. So
Right. I can
it's
see
not-
why, given
yeah.
what came out around it.
Yeah.
Now, there's definitely some stinkers. There's
yeah,
movies
yeah.
that are beloved more that I think are worse than Chicken Little.
Which one?
One that I rewatched in recent years
Mm-hmm.
that is a memorable and has some of the best, most striking visuals in the entirety of Disney, and is so beloved by people because it is darker and different, but has garbage story and
Mm-hmm.
garbage characters. Is The Black Cauldron?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, late '80s, I believe, is when
yeah.
it came out. And it compared to like other movies, like number one, that was literally right before the
Renaissance.
The Renaissance,
Yeah,
which
85.
just blew everything out of just right out of the water. I was
Yeah.
about to drop the F word, but I don't know if you cuss on this show. But
We're in enough. You could.
all right, for the YouTube thing. All right, so it blew everything out of the water with the late '80s. But even right before that, man, when you look at the other movies that came out in the '80s, not even close. Even movies that came out in the Snow White, the first one clears Black Cauldron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, like that's one where I'm like, oh, it's like a good looking movie, and it's got the cool dark themes. The villain looks awesome, but the story is kind of whatever. The characters, like, name me one character in the Black Cauldron.
Well, I've never seen it.
Oh, okay, well, never mind. But
But there's the Horn King.
yeah, he's the main villain, right? So, and
So
who
I got-
looks? You got one. He's the best part, and he looks awesome.
yeah.
I just think that there's a lot about the movie that just feel like that's a movie where it's like it's fine. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not a terrible movie. But when I think about movies like what's the one we were just talking about, Chicken Little?
Yeah.
It's just fine. I think it's a product of being the first like 3D Disney
Yeah.
release. I don't know. Some studios did better. I think like Shrek was DreamWorks first,
Yeah,
right?
Shrek was DreamWorks first. You also have Toy Story, Pixar.
Right. But
the
Pixar's
overall.
a whole different. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Which we talked about on the first episode. But I don't think Chicken Little is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
I just think the comparison of just the things that came around it and the things that came after it, like in a few years with 3D animation, with Frozen.
Yeah,
and
Tangled, not too far after. Like literally just 5 years after. I
Yeah,
think.
Tangled, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph,
Moana,
Moana,
later
yeah,
on.
Zootopia. Like it just got steamrolled in that department.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a terrible movie. So them saying it's a great movie, there was a time I could tell you that I loved Chicken
Yeah.
Little. So I don't think this is terrible.
Yeah. It was funny because
Are they also young?
Yeah, they're a couple years younger than me.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I totally get
And
it.
I grew up watching it. Like I saw it in theaters. You probably didn't see it in theaters, right?
I don't know if I did. I don't remember.
Were you reborn?
99. So shout out Tarzan being my Disney movie.
Yeah.
I love
I saw that in
to
theaters.
see.
I was 6 years old when I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
Dang.
I remember.
We're not too far apart.
I went to one of those theaters with the
So-
decline.
I've only been in one of those theaters that I remember.
Wow.
And it was for Sully, which I thought was kind of a hilarious.
The Tom Hanks one?
Yeah. Because that's like an, quote unquote old person movie, like directed by Clint Eastwood. And it's about an older person.
Yeah,
and
in an older theater.
Yeah, in an older theater, the theater itself wasn't that old either. So I was very confused because no other auditorium was like that.
They just hadn't renovated that one.
I guess so.
Interesting.
So, and the thing was too, at that time, I was going to that theater a good amount. And I don't remember there being like recent renovations either.
Right.
So that means some way, somehow, they just did not do that
Yeah,
one.
they just gave up on it.
Yeah. So
There's
I'm like,
always like weird theaters like that in some of
Yeah.
those older theaters. Like there was another theater that I used to go to near Main Street in Miami Lakes that had like big normal auditoriums in there, and then there was one theater in there that I remember. Like if you walked in and you walked to the right and you went up the stairs, there was like one theater in the very back that the screen was small. Like I almost want to say it was the size of this window here, and like it was
Interesting.
like a small room. Like it almost felt like somewhere where you would screen it like at a school. You know, like
Almost like a home theater.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was exactly like that. I remember watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs in that theater. And I remember going over there. Mind you, we were
Yeah.
trying to sneak into Zombieland, me and my friends, and we got caught. And
yeah.
they kicked us to the movie that we actually paid for,
Yeah.
which was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And we actually sat there and watched it as a bunch of 17-year-olds that were really bummed. I think 16 or 17. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, what
so
was the
funny.
question? Chicken Little?
So Chicken
Yeah,
Little,
yeah.
great.
I think it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm trying to go in order for hers because I do think her other two are spicier.
All right, let's do it.
I'm trying to decide which one's even spicier. I'm gonna go with this one as the middling of the three, which is didn't like the Barbie movie. It had no essence of Barbie and didn't really feel nostalgia in it. So, knowing her, I know personally she loves the Barbie movies, like those animated ones that there was
Gotcha.
like 200 of.
Yeah.
And she was like going through them a couple of years ago. We were like talking about it. I'm like, that's very interesting that you're going through all that. Meanwhile,
I've considered doing it. I considered doing it for my channel.
Look, I wasn't one to talk because I was going through all of the classic Universal Monster movies at the time too.
Yeah.
You know, so like,
Which are fun. I love those movies.
Yeah.
Some of them are terrible.
yeah, no, I mean, god awful, but then some of them are great.
Some of
and
them,
then
even in the good ones or even in the
Yeah.
bad ones, some of the funniest moments, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
just
for
because
sure.
of the acting.
Yeah.
One that my wife and I quote all the time, and we were just at Epic Universe, and we saw the Invisible Man come
Yeah.
out. I don't know if you remember this, but in the first Invisible Man, when they come to get him, and the police officer goes upstairs, and they got scared by him the first time, so then they left, and then they're like, "We gotta go in there and get him." So he comes in with the mob, and then he's taking all his wrappings off, and he's just a floating shirt. And he's like, arrest that man. He goes, how am I supposed to arrest a blooming shirt? Like, and he's just like, woo. He literally just floating there. It's so stupid.
I
But-
love the Invisible Man movies specifically too.
Yeah,
Like, I just granted they
fun.
were all very different genres too. The
Yeah.
more you got into them,
They're not horror at all.
yeah,
Not a single
Well,
one of them.
The first one, I think.
Kind of.
Mad Science, you know, that's going to tie into, well, that'll tie into a different, we'll get into that.
All right.
Very similar, almost hot take I had to do. But I do think the first one is definitely, I think just the first one.
I think you could say it falls
Yeah.
into horror for the time. I just think compared to like the other ones that have a little bit more of like at least some sort of creep factor or striking visual. I think that because you got to think of the time too. These people were scared a lot of times from like
Yeah.
striking visuals or scary concepts. So I guess the idea of a madman
Yeah.
could be scary. But when you look at like Dracula, 1931, like Bela Lugosi looks uncomfortable. He's got the creepy vibe, the creepy castle, horror imagery. Frankenstein, you know, there's certain moments with Boris Karloff in that movie, like he looks scary. And then same Wolfman, Gilman, like they all have their like looking at the camera.
Yeah.
You know, I think of Invincible Man, and I just think of him with the floating shirt. Woo! But to answer that,
Barbie. Thoughts?
yeah, I mean,
And like, so they didn't go as hard as they did when they were telling me this in person.
right.
But they were like going as far as to say it's a bad movie as well.
I mean, you know what? I've heard this from some people. There's a percentage of people who don't like that Barbie movie. There's a lot of people who do like it. Clearly, a lot of people love it because it was very well received.
Yeah. $1 billion too.
Yeah. I think it's a very touching film that has a lot to say for both genders. People love to say that it's like this man-hating movie, and I'm like, did you miss a whole other half of this movie?
The whole arc of Ken.
Yeah.
And this is literally like redeeming. Anyways.
Yeah, did you miss like the whole movie? But
Some would argue that's more of the movie than Barbie herself.
right. So I will say that to the point of how she worded that hot take, I do think that it doesn't, you know, if you went into it expecting like, it feels like a commentary on being a woman, being a man. It was a commentary on the modern world. Less than it's like, hi, let's come to Barbie Land.
Yeah.
You know, like, and if you wanted that, yeah, I can understand the frustration. I don't think that's the hottest take because if that was your hope, and I've seen some of those Barbie movies. You know what? Another thing I'll say straight up, I am an achievement whore on Xbox. I have been since I'm so serious. I have been since the Xbox 360 days. I love getting achievements. I'm addicted to that bloop sound that you hear. And I think I'm currently sitting at like 150,000 gamer score on Xbox with the same account since the 360 era. I've played many a Barbie game.
All right.
Many.
Yeah.
I think I played one in the last 6 months. That's how many I've played. Anytime I see them pop up on Game Pass or something, I'll play them because they're
Yeah.
super easy achievements. But yeah, if you're just looking for something like that, just like those movies where it's like, help me get dressed. I want to ride my
Yeah.
pony. You know, like I'm a princess today. I can see being bummed on the Barbie movie because the Barbie
Yeah.
movie again was more of like a social commentary
Yeah.
using Barbie than it was like taking the brand and giving you a movie just like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if you wanted that, like Barbie's Dream House, Barbie Saves Rainbow Village, or some crap like that with Margot Robbie, yeah, you didn't get that.
Yeah.
So if she just because she worded it like that, I don't think it's the hottest take.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the nostalgia word for me that really kind of clicks it all in, kind of like what you're saying.
Right.
It's just one of those where it's like, it's a matter of expectations almost. So I get it. Look, there's a lot more Ken than I thought there would be.
Right.
You know, personally, I loved, just because, granted, we have the great song, which led
Right.
to a wonderful Oscars moment as well. So there's multiple layers on why I love that.
Right.
But also, I do think it's very interesting to kind of touch on the idea of, you know, men and women and how do men even still affect characters like Barbie, you
Right.
know, and how they perceive themselves and identity and all that. I think there's a lot there.
Right.
I really do. Does the movie handle it the best? It does at points, but then you also get like this car commercial at other points where it's this car chase and it's shot literally like a Toyota commercial in my eyes.
Right. Which
so
is
it's a
becoming
weird-
more common in movies.
That's so sad. Yeah, it's
There's a lot of moments
We'll
in
get into-
movies now
yeah.
that it feels like you're watching a car commercial.
yeah, which
you
is it sucks, and I don't know, but that's besides the point. Either it's the greatest film? No, not necessarily. I had a lot of fun with it. I love the weekend that we had with it too, and I watched it like 3 times in 5 days just because Barbenheimer was happening. So I watched also Oppenheimer like 3 times in the same 5 days. It was just a thing. It was so fun to do for both, and yeah, it's not my favorite movie, especially from Greta Gerwig. Like she has of the 3 I've seen from her, it's my least favorite. But she has such a high bar with her other 2 in Lady Bird and Little Women. So,
Right.
and I think Little Women is massively underrated.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just basically a masterpiece of a film. But anyways, I get it. It's a preference thing. That's how it's worded here. You know, the nostalgia of it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say on this take. It's not the craziest. The next one, though, I do think is much more of a take
All
we can
right.
really get
Let's
into.
hear. I'm ready for a hot take.
So this one, and funny enough, it's a hot take I've dealt with before, but from a different person. Midsommar is not good. I don't know where you land.
I
with
think it's
Ari
I think it's a good
Aster.
movie, but I
Yeah.
can see that one because this is another one of like a taste. You know, I almost think of like somebody like my dad or something. The subject matter is so specific and it can be kind of off-putting. While I think it's a good movie, I could see it being off-putting to somebody else, and they just think
Yeah.
like, that movie is like not for me. You know what I'm saying?
See, but this is where like the not good as opposed to like not for me. I think
I
that's
guess
where
you're
like
right.
the balance is like, oh no, you're just saying like it's like bad filmmaking almost. When that's you say what you will about the subject matter or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
It's a technically amazing movie.
Yeah. It's incredibly proficiently made. The performances are incredible. Florence Pugh at the center, top tier. I think what it has to say is also incredibly powerful and impactful, and how it gets there definitely makes you feel uncomfortable. So I think it's a really good movie. But I've heard this before.
Yeah.
I expected this to be hotter. I expected this take to be a little hotter. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'm expecting like, I don't know, it's the craziest hot takes. But you know, I think because I don't agree that I don't agree. So I guess it is a hot take. But
Yeah.
I do think it's the kind of movie where I think also what we've really seen at the trajectory of Ari Aster
Yeah.
is like Hereditary, also very beloved. Like if somebody tells me they don't like that movie, I'm a little more passionate about Hereditary than I am Midsummer. But then, you know, Beau is Afraid. What last one that he did?
Oh, Eddington.
Eddington, yeah. You know, he's kind of become more divisive with every film. And so I'm not surprised to hear this because I feel like it kind of comes in the conversation with a lot of Ari Aster movies. What do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because like I've always seen him as the divisive filmmaker after Hereditary. And yeah, I mean, it's just true. It's one of those things like I'm fond of Beau is Afraid. I know many people really dislike that movie.
Right.
Then I go ahead and I don't like Eddington, and I see both sides of it. Like people hate it, but then also people say it was the best of the year.
Yeah, which is crazy. Not even close for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like Eddington that much.
Yeah.
Like I was very lukewarm on it. Like there's parts about it I really liked.
That's the thing. It's the parts, but
It's very well made.
It doesn't add up to what it was supposed to be in my eyes.
Right. And I think that I feel like that's just an Ari Aster thing. You know what I mean? I feel like his movies, they're not the kind of movies. I think Hereditary out of them, for me, is the one that I could say like is like his, you know, what's the term that people use?
Magnum opus.
His magnum. Yeah, exactly.
I will say this though, and this wasn't one of my 3 takes.
Okay.
Not the biggest fan of Hereditary.
Crazy. And here's what I'll say though. You know what? I'll give you a little bit of leeway. The first time I saw Hereditary, I thought it was good, not great. The second time I saw Hereditary, I don't know how many times you've seen it.
I think I've seen it 3 times now.
The second time I saw it, I was just so much more blown away by like how layered a lot of that movie is and how much is foreshadowed that you don't even know to expect. There's so many little things, imagery on screen, things that are said that really stack up as the movie goes on. And I also really just like the way it tackles the notion of something like family trauma. There's some really genuinely uncomfortable moments in that film. And I'm a sucker for a classic, like when I turn the lights off, I feel uncomfortable kind of moment. And there's that scene where Toni Collette turns the light off. She sees her mother in the corner. That's such an unnerving scene to me. But on top of that, too, Toni Collette alone, for that performance, I just think it's I think it's the best performance in an Ari Aster movie. Even with Florence Pugh, you know, like, and
I mean, that's the only other debatable one, I think. Like, I love Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, but it's not even close.
But he is a tier below.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely something to chew on.
The fact that Toni Collette was not nominated for that movie, at least nominated.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
crazy.
one of those things. It's the genre, which is so stupid.
It's so stupid. You know? I'm really praying that because we've been breaking those barriers. It's getting a little bit better. I mean, what's her,
The Substance with Demi Moore.
Right, or Amy Madigan last year.
Amy Madigan too winning. Yeah. We've been getting closer.
I'm praying that like at least a nomination for like Indy Neveretti this year. Like,
I don't know, man. What kills me?
She's the best performance of the year right now, in my opinion.
Look, what kills me for her is that she's so new too.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where like, are we just giving it to the new shiny toy? Like, not saying that's how I see it. Yeah, I love her performance.
I don't see it that way at all because she's too good in that role.
No, for sure.
I mean, I think if there's anybody that I say that are we giving it to the new shiny toy?
Yeah.
I felt that way about Mikey Madison.
See, but with her, so look, again, this is not my personal
Mind you, she had
opinion.
appeared in things.
This is me trying to get in the head of the Academy.
Yeah.
As a person who loves the Oscar season,
right,
and award season and all that, I could definitely see it as a Golden Globe, and we're gonna be like, cool, she's gonna get nominated. But just like with a lot of cool Golden Globe noms, they don't transfer.
I just don't think there's been a performance from a woman this year that's even close. Yeah. Not even close.
Not even close. I'm trying to think too.
Yeah, you can't think of one. Yeah. She is the front runner, you know. And like last year, I knew that Jessie Buckley was going to clear.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Hamnet, I go, "There's no way," and she did. I don't think she lost a single one.
No.
Yeah, I knew it immediately.
I think Amy Madigan. Oh no, Amy Madigan
was supporting.
Well, I meant
but she cleared too. Yeah, I knew. Like with like the men's race, I was pretty like, okay, it could be anybody. You know, like I thought, maybe Chalamet's got this. Yeah. You know, he was kind of my vote, but then I was like, you know, Michael B. Jordan could easily do it too. He's incredible.
Wagner Moura was like so in the running too, which is pretty.
He wasn't even in the conversation for me.
Oh wow,
he was good.
Yeah.
I thought he was good.
Yeah, okay. Personally, same.
Not even close.
But again, thinking like the Academy, I was like, it seems like it's kind of going that way, which is pretty cool. And
I think like this year, Indy Neveretti needs to get at least nominated.
Yeah,
because she's at least been around. It's not like this is her first thing. You know what I mean? Like I saw her in Superman and Lois. You know what I mean? Like she's an actress. She's been working the grind.
Yeah.
With like Mikey Madison, she was in Tarantino's movie. She was in Scream, but like nobody really knew the hell she was until Scream, maybe. And then she got in a movie where she was showing tatas and everything else under the sun, and she wins it. Listen, she gave a good performance. I think she's a beautiful actress, very talented actress. I'm not demeaning her for anything. I thought Anora was a solid flick.
Uh-oh. Are we getting a hot take again?
Anora's should not have won Best Picture. I'll tell you that.
Ooh, interesting.
That's not even my hot take, but it should not have won Best Picture. Not even close.
Yeah. Let me look up. I'm going to look up the other films nominated that year.
Yeah, it could have been any of the other ones. Because
any of them?
Almost any of them. Look up the list. I'm so sorry to your friend. What were we talking about?
Well, she had multiple hot takes. So
yeah, the third one, Midsummer. Yeah, Midsummer is, if you don't like it, it is what it is. I don't think that's the hottest take of the world, just because I don't think it's a bad film. So if you don't think it's a good film, I mean, I guess I disagree, but
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I looked at the wrong year for a second. Love that. So I have to completely disagree. Okay, now this is just Oscar talks, and I love it. So the nominees for Best Picture, and I completely disagree with you with any. Amelia Perez.
Oh yeah, no way. Okay, you're right.
A Complete Unknown. I have Anora above A Complete Unknown.
No, bro. Complete Unknown is way better than Anora. Way better.
We'll get into that.
Okay, who else?
Conclave.
Way better than Anora.
I disagree.
Way
Nickel
better.
Boys.
Yeah, you're right. Anora is better than Nickel Boys.
I'm Still Here.
Oh, way better than Anora.
I do see the argument for I'm Still Here.
100%.
This is the first
right now. That's
one.
the one. That's number one.
The Substance.
Yeah, better than Anora.
Wicked.
Better than Anora.
The Brutalist.
Better than Anora.
And this one is obviously the one I was rooting for. Dune Part 2.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that should have won right there.
Dune Part 2, the hate for Dune Part 2 was crazy, and that's something we can touch on in another episode.
Yeah, Dune Part 2 deserved to win
oh my God.
over Anora any day.
Yes.
So I'm sorry. There's at least more than half of those options were better than Anora.
I think you only said two wouldn't.
Anora is not a bad movie. Yeah, Nickel Boys and Emilia Perez.
Yeah, Perez.
Yeah,
God.
Those should not have been nominated at all.
Yeah. Well, I think the three it was between was Amelia Perez, Anora, and Brutalist, if I remember correctly.
Dude.
Which is a crazy top three in this list. It should have been.
Nobody saw The Brutalist.
Okay. I mean,
we saw it.
Yes. There are some. If you're like kind of in the film, you did. I also do think that's a massively overrated movie.
I think so too. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I don't know if I go that far after.
I wouldn't have nominated it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the filmmaking. Yeah. I think the scale of it. I think the idea of taking a movie, it's about brutalism and making it this grand thing. Also touching on immigration, but I didn't love the ending.
Yeah.
And by the time that I'm just watching, homeboy get touched in the butt at the end of the movie, like I'm just like, dude, I waited 3 hours for this?
It felt so much like we're trying to shock you and have commentary on a couple things. With the whole that essay stuff, you kind of got the metaphor already.
Yeah, before you had it happen.
Yeah, and then you had it happen, and then you also have the Zionist stuff at the end too, which I was like, which way is he going with it? It was clear to some people. Rewatching it, it still wasn't clear. Anyways, this is not a brutalist. Look, the brutalist is bad. That's one of my hot takes. We'll just put it out there. Not bad. It's just not good.
I get what you're saying. It shouldn't have been nominated. I feel the same way. And Anora should not have won that year. But anyway, so and Mikey Madison should not have won Best Actress.
Of those three, though, who would you have given it to? Because I think it was those three, and then like a tier below was.
You said Anora, Brutalist, and who?
Amelia Perez.
Oh, the Brutalist. Out of those three, I'm sorry, dude. Anora is not a great movie. Like, it's a good movie.
I don't know, man.
But it's not a great movie. I think it's just provocative. I just feel like it was a provocative film, but with fairly one-note characters.
See, but with Igor, the bald guy, I think like he does so much. I do think Honora is a deeper character personally.
She's the only one.
But also Igor is a deep character. And my rewatch is what really solidified it. And I was pushing for him for best supporting.
Yeah, he was funny. And then he becomes kind of like the caring guy that this girl clearly needed in her world. But like a whole half of the movie is just spent like looking for this guy, her screaming. Like, I don't know. It's just not like, I like the movie. I just, when I saw that it won Best Picture, it just felt like, really, dude? Like, I actually had a friend who just recently saw it for the first time because they saw it won Best Picture and stuff. And they gave it like a 1.5. And I was like, that's way too low. But like, they were like just dogging on it. Yeah. But every here and there, man, there's movies that come out that have like a great center performance. Yeah. They get into provocative things. They're well made, well acted. but they just like the Testament of Ann Lee from last year.
Yeah, man. Didn't see it. I'm still interested in it.
Watch it, bro. But dude, it is that movie. Anybody who tells me that movie's great, I'm questioning.
Yeah, their taste.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think Amanda Seyfried was great in it.
Yeah.
I thought the cast was great. I thought the filmmaking was incredible. Funny enough, it was made by Mona Fastfold, directed by her, who wrote The Brutalist. But now, what is it, Brad
Cordy.
Yeah, something like that.
Cordy.
Yeah. He wrote the
Testament
of Ann Lee.
Nice.
So
That's
they
funny.
switched places.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Oh man.
That one wasn't it. The Brutalist was better. Anyway,
Yeah.
Midsummer, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, I just think I can understand why with that one, given the subject and everything.
I mean, it's just to say it's not good, I think is
Because another thing I realized too is like, not everybody thinks about it the way you and I do.
Yeah, for
where
sure.
we will take like our score will be a conglomerate of like our personal enjoyment
Yeah.
and the filmmaking. Some people, if they just didn't like the story or the characters, it's out.
This
They're
is
out.
a filmmaker themselves as well.
Oh.
Who's also been to the same film school I've been in and stuff. So
Gotcha. So you're just saying your friend has bad taste? Is that what you're trying to say?
no. Harsher taste. I'm gonna put it like that. You think my taste is harsh?
Yeah.
You need to meet some of the people I talk movies with.
Damn,
on
I
my
thought
side.
we were supposed to be the film snobs.
Yeah, no. There's plenty of people harsher than me. Great people, lovely friends, love them all.
You've got to try to save face now. I love all of you.
Yeah.
You are my friends,
Yeah.
and I hope we will continue to be friends.
And I do mean it. But moving on now to another take. I'm trying to determine if I should do this last take, which I don't think is as crazy, or if I should go into this take that I think is crazier. I think I'm going to do a little of a softer one.
All right, let's do
Again.
it. They've all been fairly tame.
Well, yeah,
For me, at
very
least.
true. I
Maybe-
think ours is going to be insane.
Yeah,
but
I think ours will be better.
So this one comes from a good friend of mine, Mike. I had to include his handle on here, Childish Taino. I think that's such a brilliant handle.
Childish Tahino.
Yeah. So shout out to him. And this makes so much sense why he put in this take. Tron Legacy score is top 5 all time.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take.
think so. I think in the grand scheme of things of how people view scores,
Yeah,
I think it is.
I don't
because-
agree, but I think this is a taste thing, 100%.
Exactly.
Like my favorite composer is John Williams, and so I already have innately this love for like
Yeah.
heavily orchestrated epic pieces with motifs that play over and over again. And you already know, like, my favorite thing in the world is Star Wars. So, like,
Yeah,
the
look at
Star
the-
Wars movie, the Star Wars movies in general, for me, clear like my top 5. But then Indiana Jones, Jaws, Jurassic Park. I mean, so many other things. But so I'm always gonna go for something like that, like that's a little bit more orchestrated in like a big like
Yeah.
full symphony kind of way versus something that's more like electronic. But I know so many people who love that score, and I do think it's an absolutely incredible score. So like,
Stunning.
I don't think this is a hot take.
I think it's a really good take though, because it does. So when people think of scores, right, they do think of like the John Williams, and you're like, it has to be like classical,
Yeah, like Hans
kind of
Zimmer or
pieces.
something like that. Yeah.
So when you bring that into it, I'm like, hell yeah, man! Like, it's so good to realize like scores can go outside of just classical.
Yeah.
Even though it is very effective. And like, you think of when like a Ludwig Göransson or even a Hans Zimmer, they do bring in like an electric guitar or something like that as well, which is still different from the Daft Punk electronic stuff.
Well, I was gonna say Ludwig because he does something like Sinners or something like
Yes.
Black Panther and stuff like that. And then he does something like Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Where earlier this year, people were bumping to that Enter Shikari
Yeah.
like beat when they get to the Shikari, and that like electronic song plays. I've seen the Mandalorian Grogu 5 times now in theaters, and every time that song plays, I'm just somehow seeing. Like it's not one of the best Star Wars songs,
Yeah.
but it's just fun.
It's a bop for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, I do love this take. Do I agree with it? I'd have to sit and really think about it. But I do think it's one of those where like, yeah, if you think scores is just this, like this is one to show.
Yeah.
That's like mainstream enough. And it also is one of those where like it shows that you really need to fit the score to the world and vibe of the movie.
100%.
Because this movie, Tron Legacy, no matter what you think of it, it wouldn't not be as good if the score wasn't as good as it was too.
For sure.
Because they literally play it in world at one point too.
Yeah.
That just shows, and it's believable. That
Right.
just shows you how good of that score is.
Yeah.
So I do love that take.
I don't agree with it. Like, it's not in my top 5,
Yeah.
but it's an excellent score. So like I don't think I'd ever judge anybody.
Yeah.
If they said, oh, that's just like top 5. But yeah, that's a great one. 100%.
It's definitely just one of those things where it's like, it gets you thinking if you weren't like us, you know?
Yeah.
In the sense of like, you will listen to like almost any score, I feel like, just to like
Yeah.
really like get into it. So yeah, I appreciate the take. Not the hottest take. So this one now is from Martin, a good friend of mine as well. And his take is Sinners is a great movie, but not a great horror movie. And that kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, where like, you know, you didn't see The Invisible Man as a horror film. And so one of my takes was almost people don't understand what horror movies are, and they only want one specific thing from like a horror movie. And I think that's such a narrow and bad view on horror movies.
Right.
Sorry, Martin, but you know, you're also crass with me, so it's okay.
Just ruining friendships today.
It's okay. Every time he sees me, he like rolls his eyes, you know, so it's okay. I can throw a bar back.
There you go.
Anyways, that was my very quick thought on that, and I'm excited to get into this more, especially now that we kind of touched on it with Invisible Man. So please, your thoughts on this.
I think it's a fair take. I don't think Sinners is necessarily I think it is a vampire drama first and a horror movie second, mainly in aesthetics and feel. It's definitely not a scary movie, but like my favorite horror franchise, and it's not even the best horror franchise, like because that's there's a distinction there, but like my favorite horror franchise is the Chucky franchise.
Yeah.
A lot of those movies aren't good. And it's very schlocky, but the franchise is very self-aware. I have Chucky tattooed on my leg. And what I love about that franchise is just how self-aware it is. And that first movie, maybe for the time, a little bit more scary. But when you watch it today, it's not like a scary movie. You know what I mean? And the sequel is definitely not. By the time you get to, you know, kind of the rebrand with Bride and Seed and Cult and Curse, like all those movies are so not scary. You know, maybe kind of Cult and Curse kind of brought it back to that a little bit, but Bride and Seed are comedies, you know? But they're horrors. They're horror comedies. And I love horror comedy. Like, I think that horror can be a lot of different things. And I think that's something kind of to what your point was. I think it's definitely still a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it just so happens to be a great movie that is in the horror genre. I just wouldn't say it's a great horror movie, but I guess you're saying the same thing, right? Like if you think it's a great movie, if you think it's a great movie, then you think it's a great horror movie.
Yeah.
Because it is a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, so
I don't know.
Horror and the idea of horror is basically to kind of show, not to use the word horror again, but like the terrifying things that we experience in life and kind of funnel it in a fantastical way.
Right.
At least that's how I view what horror is. And Sinners is a movie about race at the end of the day too, which is why like you play into the drama aspects of it. And I mean, you also get that dynamic too with like why they're building the juke joint, where they're building it, you know, who they allow into it and stuff like that. And then you have this whole immigration thing. Like I think the real life horrors that are within Sinners to tie that in with vampirism is like the smart way to make it a horror movie.
Right.
You know, and like especially at the time, like in the setting that we're in that movie, it was a horrifying time to be a person of color, you know, let alone in the South. So to tie in classic horror tropes of vampirism into what can still be modern at times, you know, horror tropes with race, I think it is a great horror movie with that because you do have this fun kind of balance. And this goes now to marketing. I wish we didn't know it was a vampire movie.
Yeah.
I think that would have been such a sick twist where you're like, damn, this is like a really good, like you said, like kind of drama.
Right.
And then you're kind of playing up these racist as like of horror or horrifying, even though you do get some weird like creature feature stuff when you
Right.
do first see. I'm forgetting the main guy.
Remick.
Remick.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Remy. I was right there.
I mean, you're not far.
Yeah. So I do think it's very interesting, and I think that's just what a lot of people just don't understand with horror is that it is supposed to be a reflection of the horrors in real life.
Yeah.
With fantastical elements. So I think it's I'm not the highest on Sinners. I still do think it's a really, really good movie to great. But I got to defend that it is, like you said,
Yeah,
if
I mean-
you think it's good, it's good and it's horror.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you can't take away the horror from this movie. Or if you take away the horror from this movie, it's going to be a lesser film.
It's just not a scary movie, and I think
Yes.
that that's what people expect from every horror. But like,
Yeah.
we were just talking about the Universal horror monsters, and like growing up, I used to love watching those movies. There's no taking away the fact that those are horror movies. They're not scary by today's standards. You know what I mean? Like sometimes horror is an aesthetic thing. Sometimes horror is a vibe.
Yeah.
Sometimes horror is like, hey, it's gonna be gory. Like I don't think the Saw movies are scary, but like. It's the kind of wincing, like the blood, like I'm watching somebody's toes get split open, kind of like uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
That's like the horror of it. But sometimes those can be like a thrill ride kind of thing where the whole audience is like, oh no, but like you're not losing sleep,
Yeah.
And then there's like the more traditional horror movies, like in recent years, something like Smile, you know what I mean? Where it's like clearly it's trying to be scary. And Obsession also is trying to be scary, but like, a lot of that movie is a commentary similar to what Sinners is, and isn't always going for like jump scares. And then sometimes the ones that are going for like the trying to scare you, like Conjuring or all these Insidious stuff like that, they play off the same tropes over and over and over again, and they end up sometimes being like entertaining horror movies, but not great movies. But yeah, I mean, I again, this is kind of lukewarm to me. Like, I think it's definitely, if you like you said, if you like it, you like a horror movie. It's just not a scary movie. Because if that's what they had said, that it's a great horror movie, it's just not a great scary movie, then that's different. But it is a horror movie. It's just not a scary movie.
Yeah, definitely the hot take in this for me is the idea of what horror movies should be.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just like an in general thing. And it's so funny that I got this, and then we spoke about the Invisible Man stuff.
Right,
I'm
right.
like, dang, I literally almost typed that.
But that's
out
a good
as my
example.
thing.
Like that first one for Invisible Man is like not a scary movie. It's not. It doesn't even out of all the original horror monster movies, like each person's first movie, I think Invisible Man is the least horror feeling.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have to kind of take into account that Mad Scientist was a horror genre back then. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Mr. Is it Mr.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay, so I said it the right way. But yeah, like that's a concept that's a little goofy by today's standards, but
But it's also just the Hulk.
it is.
So,
Pretty much, yeah.
which he himself has had horror comics.
Yes.
So it's definitely one of those things where you're like, it's depending on how you play on it.
It's
and
a game
like
of
how scary-
semantics, truly. Like, yeah.
for sure. But I liked how you succinctly put it. It's like it's just not as scary.
Yeah, it's not a scary movie.
Yeah. All right. Now time for the fun part.
Ours.
Ours.
All right.
So you're up first.
All right,
Good
dude.
sir.
Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. This is the one that I submitted when you did this last year by yourself. And it is that I believe that Jar Jar Binks is a good Star Wars character. Now, with that said, I just think this character has just gotten so much hate. Now, mind you, I was 6 years old when The Phantom Menace came out. I fell in love with Jar Jar. I had the toys, I had clothes, I had all kinds of stuff. And I still want to get the character tattooed on me, just almost like ironically. And I just never understood the hate for this character. Now, listen, as a grown adult who has seen all the Star Wars movies hundreds of times or dozens of times for the newest ones, am I saying that Jar Jar Binks is in the S tier? Is he Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker? Is he any of those characters? Ahsoka Tano? No. Is he even in the A tier? No. But he's a solid B tier Star Wars character. I never understood the hate. I'll always hate to. There's videos you can find online. Ahmed Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, famously almost killed himself over the reception. And I'm sorry, Unalive, if you want to, do that, the whole thing. But it's it's a shame. I've always hated the hate that this character has gotten.
Yeah.
I think he's a fun, likable, annoying, purposely annoying character who means well. And another thing too is I hate what they did with him in the franchise. So I'm gonna hit you with a little Star Wars lore beyond the movies, but I think the character, what George initially introduced him to be the prequels version of Chewbacca. I think, hindsight being 2020, I think he maybe should have realized part of what makes Chewbacca work is that he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He makes a noise and
Yeah.
he's cute and fun. Jar Jar talks a lot.
Yeah.
But when I watch The Phantom Menace, I'm never upset at the Jar Jar scenes. I used to quote it. I still do. I have a shirt that I currently can't fit into because I put on too much weight that says "Excuse me" and has him on it. I've met Ahmed Best. He's such a nice guy. I was actually at the 20th anniversary panel at Star Wars Celebration, Chicago, Anaheim, a few years back, and it was amazing to see like the reception he got when he came out to the audience. Now, mind you, this is a room filled of Star Wars fans, so it's like not like the general public who just watch Star Wars, but he comes out on stage and the whole place erupted and like standing ovation for multiple minutes. And it was just to see him get emotional about it was incredible. And so I just have like a fondness for the actor. I have a fondness for the character. I have a lot of nostalgia for the character. I understand why some people are annoyed by him, but I've just never understood the hate. Yeah. I've always enjoyed the fun little cameos he would make in the Clone Wars animated series. And I just hated that, like, then it was like, all right, well, people don't like him, so he's just going to be like a small character in the second movie. And then he's going to show up at Padme's funeral in the third movie. And what's crazy is then George gives him the most integral decision in the prequels that a lot of people tend to forget. Do you know what I'm referring to?
No, I'm trying to think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget this, and this leads to what they would do with him later on. In Attack of the Clones, Padme leaves Jar Jar like as her representative because he's now like a senator. In the second movie we meet him, he's like a representative for Naboo as well, but for the Gungan people. So when she goes into hiding with Anakin, he tells her like, Representative Binks, I'm leaving you in charge of my role while I'm gone. Palpatine takes full control of this, and when they learn about the clone army, Palpatine is like, well, we need emergency powers if I'm going to be able to use this. And there's a shot of Jar Jar like thinking like, because they even go like, if only Senator Padme was here, or Senator Amidala was here, and they pan over to Jar Jar, and you just see him like thinking like, well, I have that power. And then when they get in front of the Senate, he is the one who calls for emergency powers for Palpatine to be able to, jump in there and do whatever he needs to do to like get the clone army out moving and take out the, do everything. And ultimately that emergency power is the emergency power he never relinquishes, and he becomes the Emperor. And a lot of people forget how integral Jar Jar is to this overall Star Wars story. I mean, everything happens because of him.
Yeah.
Now, if you read the aftermath novels that take place after Return of the Jedi, and they came out around the time The Force Awakens and all the new Star Wars stuff was coming out, bro, we find out, sorry, I hit something down here. We find out that everybody in the Republic, or now the Empire, or everybody, now the Empire is already defeated at this point, but everybody essentially knows he was responsible for this. So adults hate him. He's been shunned by his own people. The Gungans have shunned Jar Jar Binks. And mind you, I would honestly like to see this in a movie, but I think it's tragic. He's been shunned by his own people. People around the world around the universe know who he is. They don't like him. And he's become a homeless street entertainer for refugee kids.
Wow.
Who like him. So it's almost like a play on the fact that like adults hated Jar Jar, but kids love him.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, man, that character didn't deserve that path. He's such a sweet, lovable, ditzy character when you meet him. He thought he was doing the right thing. Everybody else gets redeemed. Darth Vader, who slaughtered children and if you read the books and comics, who just killed everybody under the sun, is redeemed and gets to become a Force Ghost. But after Anakin's been redeemed, Palpatine's been taken out, we're seeing the good in people. Jar Jar's out here being a street clown for kids. So anyway, my hot take is Jar Jar is a good Star Wars character.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's amongst the best. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
You know, but he's a good Star Wars character that I think was done really dirty
Yeah.
in the overarching mythology. What are your thoughts on it?
I honestly love where that ends. Because like you're saying, it's almost like it's like a meta take, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily. I'm not saying it to like crap on him or anything, but I'm just saying it in the sense of like that's such a smart move to do that.
Right.
Because I love when like stuff can do that and it's not like too on the nose either.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that. I will say though, one thing that I keep thinking whenever I hear this take, right, is the whole like Darth Jar Jar thing,
Yeah.
and that whole theory and everything like that, and for some reason what's never brought up is like the him relinquishing like emergency powers,
Right.
or giving rather, and I think that adds so much canon to that fodder or whatever the saying is, but like it's just adding fuel to that fire. And I don't know, I think it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean that could have been interesting if they went that route, that he like knew what he was doing,
exactly.
But yeah, they never do that, and I just feel like his character just gets the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
You get more fun adventures with him in the Clone Wars if you watch that. There's a fun comic issue where he's out with a bunch of clones and a lightsaber falls in front of him and he picks it up and sparks it.
Yeah.
It's a great. I can't remember what issue it was, but it's a great shot of Jar Jar holding a lightsaber in like a really heroic way, and you're like, oh, this is a great shot. He's like, he's gonna do something cool, and then the next frame in the comics is it's like falling out of his hands. So he's like a dopey character. I understand why in a world like Star Wars people want a more serious characters, but I honestly love that a character like Jar Jar exists in a world like that also includes Darth Vader or Darth Maul or Kylo Ren. These characters that are so much darker.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to the world. Like. There are goofy ass people in this world, and Jar Jar is a lovable character that I think gets way too much hate.
Yeah, I definitely do think it's one of those things where it's like the balancing of tones. You just have to get that right, especially because the story that you're telling with Anakin in those first 3 movies, like that gets insanely dark. He does become this genocidal maniac who's used as this puppet for Palpatine.
Right. I understand not using him in Revenge of the Sith, and maybe not. I just feel like they could have done more with his character. And when I watch The Phantom Menace, I just always I quote so many of the lines. I don't want to make a fool of myself here doing the voice, but I do the voice at home. And even just all the Gungans, like, I mean, they're kind of like a play on like island people, to a degree. There's a lot of accents in the prequels in general.
It's a little rough in that sense, I do.
but I love it, dude. Like, especially like when they first see Jar Jar and he's come back to Gunga City and like they're like, what are you doing here? Like, he's like, you should go into the bus and you saw a big doo-doo this time. Like, I love that, dude. Like, it's so cheesy, but Star Wars always has been that for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you get the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi.
Well, even outside of that, I think people always take Star Wars too seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you can't. I take Star Wars seriously. You know me. You've heard me talk about it. I'm always wearing Star Wars merch. I have
Better Man.
Half of my left arm is tattooed with Star Wars characters. Like, I love this world. I read all the books and comics. I watch every movie, every show. I've seen everything that's even polarizing in Star Wars dozens of times. And so I love this world. I take it seriously too. But I always remember, like, as a kid, it was like you could have a little more fun with it. Like in the original Star Wars, there's that classic mistake where the stormtrooper hits his head.
Yeah.
And if you watch any cut of it now, it kind of has like a bit of a thunk sound when it happens.
Which I love.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've gotten to this place now where if there's any little mistake in Star Wars, people are so like hyper critical. And I'm just like, even like the reaction to like Luke in the Last Jedi. I understand because I read the old books and he became Jedi Jesus. So I understand the distinction between like who he was in the old canon versus who he is in the new canon. But I feel like it wasn't super far off from his character because when you watch,
makes sense.
Yeah, when you see him in A New Hope, he's like, I was going to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters. Yeah. He sees the Millennium Falcon. What a piece of junk. Like everything is so whiny.
Yeah.
Empire, the whole thing is he goes to see Yoda and Yoda's like, messing with his food and stuff. He's like, get out of there. He's like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm supposed to be meeting a Jedi Master. Then he finds out Yoda. Like Yoda's like, all right, let me like reveal the veil kind of thing or lift the veil. And you hear Obi-Wan's voice, and he's like the classic, oh, like I can't teach this clown. He's whining, and then he's like, Yoda, you're Yoda, and he's like, well, tell him, Ben, I can do it. And then he bumps his head on the thing. He's like, he's always been that, like Yoda would say, like, your mind's always in the future, never here. And Return of the Jedi is like the most Jedi that he's ever been. But I think the idea that somebody who spent the early part of their life being like that could kind of falter later on is like,
and I mean, like, you look at like the history of Jedi who like go into hiding and
become
disillusioned. It's like kind of the thing. Like you talk about, oh, no Jedi would do this. Every Jedi kind of does this. Like it's
100%.
I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's so silly. Like I don't remember what I said last time when I was reading off that take, but genuinely how I feel about it now, it's all about balance, and it's all about the usage of characters and what story you're telling. And I would say the same thing if people were, were wanting to be too serious about Star Wars. You're being too serious about a franchise called Star Wars. Like, let's be real. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, yes, it can be taken seriously.
You can care about it seriously. Yeah. And I think the world has to believe it's in itself.
That's the part that is the thing. It's like anything that you can believe is happening. If anyone says anything's unrealistic, just study history of this world that we're living in and is actually like, stuff that actually happens here.
Right.
Unbelievable stuff happen every day.
Yeah.
Who's to say like what can happen in a fictional universe as well?
Right.
As long as it's within the rules too that it also kind of does. It's not like it is just trying to do anything either. Like,
right.
It's a silly thing if people do take it too seriously, because I've seen that side of it too, especially how we, in the realm that we're in, we get to so gladly see that, especially with like DC now with the Supergirl. We were talking off camera and how people are taking that too seriously, and I just have the dumbest takes that have nothing to do with the actual movie itself.
Right.
My mini review for Supergirl, I started off by saying so many of people are dogging on this movie and they haven't even seen it.
Right.
I don't like the movie for these reasons. And one person thought he was so smart in the comments, being like, other people who don't like it for the wrong reasons. I don't like it, so I'm right. And it's like, that's clearly not what I'm saying whatsoever.
Right over the head, dude. People they just want to hate. And
exactly.
And we'll get into that a little bit more with Star Wars. So let me not take too much. Move into your first hot take.
So my first hot take is one that we kind of touched around, which I think is interesting. And that's Hans Zimmer is a more well-rounded and better film composer all time than John Williams.
No, but I think I don't agree. But when somebody tells me that Hans Zimmer is their favorite composer over John Williams, I'm not too mad. I mean, if he hadn't not, like, if you would send like somebody like Ludwig or something.
No, way too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer's given some of the best scores ever. Now, I think Hans Zimmer has, it's tough. He does, Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I mean, so many
Nolans.
So many of the Nolan films.
Dune,
for sure. I do think John Williams has him beat overall, but I think that just comes with age. Like little things that you don't even think about, like Gilligan's Island. You know what I mean? That John Williams did. Like I just think mind you, Hans Zimmer's an older gentleman as well, but like,
which always weirds me out how they're closer in age than I always feel like.
Yeah. I mean, John Williams is quite a bit older, but like, come on, Superman.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, so many movies that he's done, and like with iconic motifs that everybody can sing. E.T. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say. Like Hans Zimmer's done some incredible ones. I mean, I mentioned Lion King and Pirates of the Caribbean. Those alone, some of the most iconic like themes and motifs that play. I don't know. I don't agree with you, but I'm not mad at that take.
So where I'm coming from is, like I think John Williams is better at a theme, which plays into the motif, right? But as an overall score, I do find myself more entranced with a Hans Zimmer score.
So what scores would you say are better than the other ones that I mentioned before?
So I'm talking about the totality, not just like the top track. Because I do give the top tracks to John Williams. Like you said, it's the motif
that's what I mean. But I'm saying if we're looking at totality.
Full score, you can pull from a lot of... Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Interstellar, but I think that score is
incredible,
It's
yeah.
fantastic. It's what makes the movie in my eyes,
Yeah.
aside from the visuals. The Dune scores are unbelievable. I found
Right.
myself listening to Dune 2. That might be one of the most heard scores for myself, like front to back.
Yeah.
The
a great
Lion
score.
King.
Yeah, The Lion King is
The Lion King
unmatched.
score is short. It's
Yeah.
always shorter than I realize.
Yeah.
But that on your channel, we did a question for the I'm forgetting the name of the debate show, but there was a
Oh, the
debate show we
Convince the
did.
Panel,
Convince
yeah.
the panel. Thank you. There was an episode where I had to debate what was the best film score, and I chose Dune Part 2. I was between that and The Lion King. I was
Right.
listening to both. Ever since you gave me that question, I was listening to both back and forth.
Right.
And I almost went with The Lion King. And I mean, The Lion King might have it beat for me now just because of how short it is.
Yeah.
But also how distinct and different, and that
mean, they're-
does have that theme in my eyes.
I'll say this, man. That whole movie's incredible, but
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like top 5, top 10. I think when we did movies that were like most important to us
Yes.
over
Yeah.
on the Latino Slant YouTube channel, I think I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Lion King. But what's it called? The end of
Yeah.
The Lion King. Specifically, I watched it a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I watched it on my TV in 4K,
Mm.
and I have the lights where the camera catches the colors of the lights. So I watched it at night, and so all the colors are matching what's happening
Mm. yeah.
on screen. You got to come over someday and watch a movie.
Yeah.
But we were watching Lion King, and that final scene at the end where Simba's just defeated Scar, and he's going up Pride Rock, and it's raining. It's
That's exactly what's been playing in my head the entire time we're talking about this.
It just gives me chills. I tried to sing it badly there, so it didn't, copyright claims. But
For sure.
dude, it's that stuff like that. I'll give it to you, but I don't think this is a super hot take. I'll be honest with you. I think this is
Yeah.
like for me, while John Williams is my answer
Yeah.
overall,
Yeah.
I think if there's anybody who I would think is like a close second for me, it's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. I just think it's more so a hot take in the sense of like John Williams is perceived as God.
Yeah.
When you talk about film scores, so it's like to say anyone could ever be better.
Yeah.
Also, the people that do say Ludwig, because I have seen that sometimes, crazy.
I mean,
Give him
he's
10
great.
more,
Yeah.
not even 10 more. Give him 20 more years.
Yeah.
Let's see what else he does. He can get there.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, no. I mean, I think that's one of those things too where I feel like a lot of people not
Because I would
saying
say
you, of
John
course.
Powell before
Sure.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
or
like there's many other names. Like I would say, Alexandre Desplat. I would
another
say
great
too.
one. What's another one whose name is escaping me right now?
What movies are you thinking?
He did the Rogue One.
Oh,
He's done a million others. He
the
did a
Pixar
bunch,
films, right? As well.
yeah, well, he's done a million movies.
Oh my God, why can't
he's
I
done
think
like
of his
it was
name?
like a bunch of like Marvel movies too. God, I'm ashamed of myself.
Oh my God. Anyways,
he even directed. Hold on, I'm gonna find it right now.
let's see who finds it first. For those at home, who are
Michael
just listening-
Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino. Yeah. He's up there
Incredible.
for me as well.
Yeah.
Pun intended. I'm sure.
Yeah,
For incredible.
Yeah, no, he's definitely he's
Yeah.
super good. John Powell. I mean, honestly, John Powell has a lot, but like the How to Train Your Dragon score
Yeah.
alone is like incredible. So like for me, you saying Hans Zimmer, I'll say this. I don't think it's a hot take for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I think I understand the perspective, but I know a lot of people who prefer Hans Zimmer scores,
Yeah.
and I get why. It's not. I don't agree, but it's not a hot take to me. Like it feels like.
Yeah.
I feel like I on the right day I could listen to more Hans Zimmer than John Williams. Even just like his stage show that he does, I want to see it so bad, you know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I'm gonna say that your first hot take was a little tame
Well,
on your own hot take show.
yeah.
But honestly, I don't think you reacted too heavily to my hot take either. But I think
Yeah.
it's because you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
My second hot take, I don't think you're gonna like though.
Which let's get into.
All right. I don't think Jared Leto is a bad actor. I think he's just been in bad movies since he was the Joker. And I think the Joker completely changed people's perspectives of him as an artist altogether. When you look at his stuff pre-Joker, Mr. Nobody, Requiem for a Dream, even small roles in like American Psycho and in Fight Club, very small roles. And there's plenty of others. He was in like Alexander, and just you can look through his IMDb. The guy's been acting in TV since like the 90s. He's a really talented actor. This is not, I'll say this, I'm not making any claims about his method acting weirdness and his eclectic natures of being an artist. But even before that, I think people now, like, they see his name and they go, ugh, over everything. And I just don't understand why, because even for myself, I grew up like as a metal and rock and emo music kid.
Shout out 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah. That first album they did was awesome. This Is War, which is the one that has like kings and queens on it. It's got the tiger on the poster. I think is their best album. He gives an incredible vocal performance on that entire album. I'm not super crazy on their newest music. It's gotten a little too electric and like for me, like where it doesn't feel like a rock band as much. But I've always thought he's a really talented guy. A little strange, a little eclectic. The whole "this is a cult, I'm Jesus."
Strange.
Yeah, you know, like I'm not denying that part. But when I see people see his name and they think he's terrible, I just don't agree. Now, like I said, it looked 3 years before he did Suicide Squad. And mind you, I don't even think Suicide Squad is a terrible movie. I just don't think it's a great movie. I think the second one that they did, The Suicide Squad, is way better. But when he appeared as Joker at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, people were more into that. I think it was just because he was in the hands of a different director, and they gave him a little bit that kind of felt kind of cool. You know, that line that kind of got popular, like, you know, we live in a civilization or whatever. But yeah, exactly. But, you know, I think he had to follow up Heath Ledger, Joker, is the first live action Joker since then, which it's not a easy task, you know, less than 10 years later. He's going for a very different, eclectic Joker that feels a little bit more gangstery, like modern day gangstery instead of like crazy clown gangster. He's also coming off of a really strong run of Mark Hamill as the character in animation and in the Arkham games, where like that Joker was killing it.
Literally.
For real. But he was only 3 years removed from Dallas Buyers Club. And so I just feel like people forget that he has the chops. But to be fair, since then, Morbius. When I heard he was cast in the role, I was like, this could do well. He looks the part. I always liked the character of Morbius from the comics and when he would appear in old Spider-Man cartoons. But the writing sucked. The movie was ass. Tron Ares. Visuals were fun, but the writing and the direction he was clearly given, bad. I think this year showed, like, as Skeletor, I really liked him because he was able to be gone in the role. My bad. He was able to be gone visually in the role. People don't think about the fact that it was Jared Leto, and they could be surprised when they found out it was him later on. And he was able to just kind of chew up the scenery a little bit. But yeah, I think he's an actor who gets a really bad rap. I think a lot of people hate on him heavy since the Joker. I feel like people didn't know who he was until Joker.
Ooh, interesting.
I think there's a huge percentage of people who didn't know who he was heavily. Like, they might learn about this and that over time, but I don't think they were thinking about him. Like, I think the wide public, I think movie fans were like, they knew he was, especially with Dallas Buyers Club, because he was definitely had a lot of love during the Oscars that year. But I think the comic book movie teenagers and young adults first introduced him to this Joker, and he was being compared to the best to have done it. And that can be a hot take for some, but like, as far as live action, I think Heath Ledger, for me, is my favorite live action Joker. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think it's a pretty popular take.
Yeah, I think that's the take.
Some people would say that about, you know, Jack Nicholson. That's fine. But like,
I think it's definitely an age thing too.
Yeah, it's definitely an age thing. But like, Heath Ledger revitalized that role, you know? And I think that he was trying to do something really broad, but I think the writing of that film screwed him, you know? Like, the direction of it, the writing, the fact that there was so many things you saw in the trailer that never actually came out in the movie. So all this eclectic stuff he was doing behind the scenes, it all seemed like it was for naught. So what are your thoughts on my take with all of that information?
It's not the craziest take.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to be real with you, because my first acting Jared Leto, my first introduction to him was Requiem for a Dream.
Okay, yeah,
so
great role.
Immediately knew he could act.
Yeah.
My first introduction to him, though, was 30 Seconds to Mars.
I
loved
same
the
here. Yeah.
Bury Me song.
Yeah, of course. Kill Me. Bury Me.
So good. Especially in middle school. That was a banger.
It's an emo anthem.
Yeah.
For sure.
And funny and quick little side tangent. I got to see him in concert.
Nice.
He was one of the bands opening for Linkin Park.
Oh,
so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And I saw Linkin Park twice that year.
Nice.
So
Chester Bennington?
Cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So this was, I think, like a couple of years before the unfortunate passing.
Right.
And he was crazy in it too, which plays into why myself and many other people, not all people that dislike him, but many other people who dislike him, is for this reason. It is definitely the method acting. It is the choice of projects that are highly questionable.
Right.
Especially as big of a name as he was, he just kept choosing projects that, I don't know, just kind of like immediately everyone could tell the vibe was off.
Right.
Granted, as soon I remember being in high school, seeing those damn trailers for Suicide Squad, and people were excited.
I was
people
excited.
didn't love the look for Jared Leto's
when
Joker.
they first released that
they didn't love it.
I wasn't crazy about it.
But when you heard that cackle, myself included, and everyone loved it. They're like, oh my God, no. The look is going to be stupid, but we're going to have an all-timer performance from Jared Leto.
That first clip they showed us of him at the end, you know, when he's like going to like supercharge, you know, that was the scene that I was like, when you saw the trailer, you're like, all right, this looks like this could be really. I remember watching that trailer for the first time, I got goosebumps.
Yeah. I mean, what got me was when he was laying down, and they include that shot, but I don't think he's laughing the same way, but it's that like slow, like, like that. I was like, oh, we're in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to maybe hope that they change his look a little bit in the next one or something.
Yeah.
So people were on board. You're right on the turning point. But then he's also just a weirdo.
Yeah, and I think that's what's made it weird is that like he's just even with like the 30 Seconds to Mars, like now the This Is the Cult thing has always been a part of their stuff. Like it's like, you know, like the fandom is, you know, is a cult, and that's fine. Like every band has like their thing, you know. Slipknot calls their fans maggots. Yeah. Skillet calls their fans panheads. You know, like everybody's got like their, you know, the Swifties. Like there's always something, whatever. If theirs is, what's that?
Beehive for Beyonce.
Oh, right, exactly. So like if that's their thing, this is a cult, whatever. But then it became like, oh, we're gonna do these retreats. We're gonna disappear with a bunch of people, and I'm gonna be in all white with long brown hair and a brown beard. It's a little strange. Yeah. But listen, my hot take is not about him as a person. It's about the fact that I think that post Joker, like just every time he's in something, people are like, this is gonna flop. This is gonna fail. Oh, the whole movie's ruined. And I'm like, the guy can act. But I will say this: it feels like every movie he's been in after, except for Masters of the Universe, he's just like been stilted with like a role that doesn't give him anything to do. Yeah. I feel like he's just not given the opportunity to really act. You know, Tron Ares, like the role called for stoic and, you know, like that's clearly how he was directed.
Yeah. Which is crazy because he's not that at all. Yeah. Like, and again, like you said, you see it in Masters of the Universe, but unfortunately it is just, he just became box office poison. Yeah. And a lot of that, I know we're not you know, that's not really the take, is the outside stuff, but also just him and choosing the projects that he keeps going to. And you're just like,
but some of them
you're
seem
big
like,
enough name to like,
some of them seem like they could be good. Like if you, on the surface, if you told me when Suicide Squad came out, if you were like, this is the lineup of everything that Jared Leto's going to be in for the next 10 years, and you saw Morbius, he's going to be in a Spider-Man spin-off villain movie, all right. It's just unfortunate that outside of the Venom movies, and even those are questionable depending on who you're talking to, Matt, they also made shitty Madam Web. They also made horrible Kraven the Hunter, which I think is worse than Madam Web. Ooh, I think that's like I think that's a substantially worse film on a writing level. Madam Web is at least digestible. It's not great, but it's like where Kraven is really bad. Really, like just that scene alone with Rhino where he's like by himself.
I was laughing out loud.
Yeah, me too. But I was sitting there going like, "This is," and it's played serious, you know,
which is crazy.
But anyway, Morbius came out amidst that. Tron seemed like it was going to be a home run. I don't think he's the problem with that movie. It's the bad script and overall structure of that story. Like the screenplay for that movie isn't good. Because it's just like I wouldn't blame Greta Lee for that film,
which is also crazy. You get a bad performance out of her.
That's what I'm saying.
That's how you know for sure it's a director,
right? But exactly. Anyways. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for the Nine Inch Nails score for that movie, you wouldn't have like the weight of it. So that's my second take. Obviously, I see what you're saying too. You know, I think the outside stuff has kind of ruined his thing, but I think some people just assume now he's going to give a bad performance, and I think Masters of the Universe proves that he's got the chops. You know, he did do some weird stuff from what I heard to a degree, but it seemed a little more tame. Like apparently they didn't do the dots on the face for this one. What's her name? Alison Brie. She was obviously in the movie as well. She said that he came in with fake blood all over his face to still be like off-putting, but that's what he was wearing that that suit, that like
Yeah.
muscle suit. So he wore that, and he had blood all over his face to just be
Interesting.
off-putting on set. But he gave a fun performance. Like he feels like Skeletor.
Yeah,
Some
no,
people
for sure.
maybe wanted him to do the whole like, I'm
Yeah.
Skeletor, but I'm okay with the choice that they
Yeah,
made.
yeah,
You know,
for sure.
But anyway, what's your next one?
Yeah. So, internet almost went out. So my next one, I was deciding to see which one I want to go to. I'll go to this one because I know we've kind of spoken about it, or at least you've seen a video of mine that kind of goes into this a little bit. And I think kids' movies should still be good movies. Anyone that says like it's a movie for kids,
Yeah.
who cares? You're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those signs that I look for to see if I can trust someone's taste or not,
Yeah.
you know? Or like, I don't know. It's just such a silly outlook on life. Like just because it's made for kids. How many things did you digest as a child, you know, shaped you?
Right.
You think about that, you talk about Star Wars, you know?
Yeah.
Especially like the older films, and like I don't know, you just think about all the things Pixar, early Disney, Shrek, like just so many things that are quote unquote made for kids. If they were also bad, I think we would be worse as a society.
Right.
And it's one of those things too, right? It's the same people that will say like it's a kids movie, who cares? But then as soon as they see like what the young generation is doing, they're like, why are these kids so stupid? It's because you're feeding them slop.
Right.
And like we're getting to the point where AI slop, like AI generated content that is only AI and there's no other like thing put into it, is such a easy quote unquote form of entertainment for many people, not even just kids. And you're seeing like it's not well made, obviously.
Right.
It's just slop. You get these certain movies. So like one of the things that I thought of immediately for this was like the Mario movies, right? Or the Minions movies. I haven't seen the second Mario movie. I wanted to. I just never got around to doing it. And especially the Minions stuff, I don't think they hold a candle to like Pixar stuff or even earlier like DreamWorks stuff or anything like that. And I think that's a shame. Like I do want these things to be better. And you especially know this too, being a fellow critic, whenever you're critiquing a quote unquote kids film or family film, and you always get the ones where like, why are you critiquing it? You know, it's a kids movie. First of all, why'd you click on the video? Or why are you watching the video? If this is clearly a film review, what do you want from a review?
Yeah, or when somebody clicks on a video that's 10 minutes long and they go, you're talking a little too much.
Oh my God.
It's like, brother, what did you think this was? Did you think it was the movie?
Yeah, right? And like, I remember too, on a former podcast I was a part of, I remember someone saying like the episode was too long and it was only like an hour. And I'm like, I don't know what podcasts you're watching that are relatively much shorter than an hour and saying that they're too long if they're an hour or over, but that's kind of the podcast. Right. Like that's the whole medium.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's stuff like that that's just so annoying as well. And kids deserve good movies as well. Just because it's a kids film doesn't negate them from having good stuff. Right. Because that builds taste, that builds character, you know, from the lessons they learn from a movie. Kids are so much smarter than we think, and they take in so much more. They're literally sponges, you know, to take in information. So that's my take. I know you won't necessarily find it as hot, but I know for many other people out there, they definitely will.
Yeah, I don't find it to be a hot take because I agree with you, and I think most people would agree with you. Like most people, you would think so. But here's what I'll say. I agree with you for sure. I think that kids' movies should be smart still. Like the Mario movies, I don't mind. Like they're a little more simple because the games are more simple. So I don't mind that it's more like, hey, we're going to give you kind of like a vibe of the games in a movie. The Minions, I can agree. Like those feel kind of like we're just brain rotting the kids with like, we believe. Or like when they were part of like a bigger movie, it's a different thing because the humans can be like the center of like the heart and all. But I still think we get good kids movies.
No, for sure.
I think the problem is that there is way more coming out these days.
Yeah.
And I say this to a lot of people when they say there's no more good movies these days. And but there are. You just can't go see like I hate when somebody's like, oh, the remakes make all the money. But then I'll be like, what's the last movie you went to go see?
Exactly.
And they're like, Lilo and Stitch. I'm like, of course, that's why it was the highest grossing film last year. I think that was the highest grossing film last year. That and Minecraft.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, of course, but
Yeah.
so many other movies last year, like Better Man, bombed. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. It bombed, and it just happens. Like where like a good movie will come out and it doesn't do great in theaters because the popular IP does well, and sometimes that's not necessarily where to go.
Yeah.
But even like this year, like one that I think people are starting to find a little bit more as it's hit streaming and stuff like that, but that I think kind of went under the radar was The Sheep Detective.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie yet?
No.
Dude, you should really watch it. It's actually like it's got like a really poignant kind of like approach to tackling grief and life and death using the sheep, but also like this fun concept. So there's movies out there that are definitely more for kids, but we also get Coco. You know where I think I'm going to say it's not movies, it's TV.
Yeah.
That's where the real issue is because
YouTube, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. But like I think TV is where the kids have really been screwed over in terms of like cartoons and stuff like that. Like I've seen some clips of like, and I'm not even jumping straight to like the Coco Melon. I was gonna say Coco Melon, but
that's a big player.
It is a big player, but it's an extreme, right?
Yeah.
But if I look at just other cartoons that are airing, you know, I've caught a couple episodes or clips here and there, and it just feels so like they're holding hands. For the kids. And I feel like when I look back at the cartoons that were out when I was a kid, and I'm sure when you were a kid as well, we're not that far apart. No. But like I grew up, you know, I got to see a little bit of the 90s. There was movies, there's shows that ran in the early 2000s that probably weren't around as much when you were starting to like become more aware of cartoons in like the mid 2000s. That like we're just a little more smart. And I watched a lot of reruns. It was very popular when I was a kid to watch reruns on like TV Land or like Boomerang. Yeah. and in that you would watch like these old cartoons and like they just were like sometimes they had a life lesson, sometimes they were just fun antics. Sometimes they were riddled with innuendos and jokes that you didn't get. SpongeBob's being one of those big clear ones, you know, and or sometimes they took a risk and it was like, hey, maybe this isn't like for every kid, like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
As a kid, that was my favorite TV show. Like that Courage and Scooby-Doo, I think were like my entry into horror. But I loved that kind of stuff that was a little bit more creepy and weird and zany, especially Courage. And I just feel like you don't get that these days. It feels like everything has to be safe and like, you know, not to get political, but I'm just so over like everything needs to be perfectly nice for everybody. But then there's the other side also that's like, let's just fucking get guns and fucking, you know, kill people. Like I was like, there's a middle ground. You know, you can kind of get like. I feel
like the middle ground was hit before, and like it is possible.
That's what I just feel like we've gone too far in the like we need to coddle everything and everything needs to be safe for the kids. And then on the other side, then you have the other side that's like, let's just go fucking crazy, and then they go too crazy, you know. And it's like, all right, dude, like. There's this nice middle ground that's just not being found. But I think the movies, I think the options are there. I just, for parents, any parents listening to this, just get outside of the mainstream. Go watch a Pixar movie. You're going to find something there. You know, stick with like the, you know, most DreamWorks movies are going to have, because like The Wild Robot was a great movie in recent years, you know.
But how many people have seen those original, like The Wild Robot? You know what I mean?
Compared to like, like the Minions. Like the Minions are out in theaters right now. I missed the press screening. I know you went to go see it, but you know, I don't know how it is, but I'm sure it's another Minions movie.
So, the Minions kind of solidified this take for me, the newest one.
Yeah.
The best parts were when it felt most like Looney Tunes.
Okay.
Or, because I don't know, there's something in this one where it kind of felt refreshed a little bit at times, because there are moments where you're like, oh my God, this feels exactly like a Looney Tunes bit. And maybe that's because they're paying them, I don't know how much you know about the movie, but like they're kind of paying homage to older
like
Hollywood.
And
I love those bits, but then like there was moments where I'm like, oh, that feels like it went too far into like a certain type of joke. And I'm like, I don't know. I say to my mini review for it, but I'm like, I don't know what age I would bring. If I were to have kids like right now, I don't know what age I'd be okay with them watching certain bits from this. Just because, I don't know, there's certain bits that, you know, feel too far. And I don't want to sound like, again, like the coddling thing, but like, it's one of those things where I'm like, if something feels like it's a risk, there has to be something with that risk. It can't feel like it just is because, hey, let's just do it. It feels almost like there should be a life lesson, or it should be like some dramatic thing kind of tied to it, and have it mean something. So that way you know, like, oh, that's like a thing. They're not just like murdering people to murder people. You
Right,
know?
I'm sure you're talking about, like, I saw the clip. It's in the trailer where, like, they behead the queen. You know,
Yes.
that kind of seemed like a wow. I can't believe they
Yeah.
did that. I got to see it to see what exactly you mean. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I don't think this is a hot take.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's definitely, to me, it's just one of those takes that feels like. You
Yeah, dude, I gotta be careful with this chair. To all the viewers, this chair like goes back far. Let's check it out.
He's basically planking for those audio listeners.
It's oh yeah, for the audio listeners, I was checking how far back the chair goes, but for the viewers, that thing goes back far. If I threw my fat ass back a little bit too much, I think it would take the chair back with it.
But yeah, so this is just one of those takes that I think it's a hot take to those people that aren't careful with what they watch, more or like aware rather,
right.
not necessarily being careful. But yeah, moving on to your next take.
It's my last take,
Your
right?
last take.
Yeah. So my last take is we're going back to Star Wars, y'all, and it is that I think there is way more good Star Wars that has come out in the Disney era than not. And people are so dramatic about this. Listen, I'm not saying it's the best Star Wars, but let's look at the first thing that Star Wars did. Now, mind you, people were salty because they announced when they did it, all the books and comics before Disney era are now considered what they call legends. It's essentially alternate universe. It's not canon. That pissed me off too. I mean, some of my favorite books and comics. But I'll give them this. Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilm now has pulled from tons of those old books and comics to bring in characters from the old canon, like Thrawn, Darth Bane, and they've referenced a few others that they're going to possibly pull in, even just small little niche ones, right? When I look at what they've released, if we're really looking at it, the first one that started and finished as the Star Wars was coming back was Star Wars Rebels. It is my favorite Star Wars show to exist.
Ooh, interesting.
I think Star Wars Rebels is the best Star Wars show. Now, if the Clone Wars is your favorite, awesome. If the Mandalorian is yours, awesome. If you have another one like the Bad Batch or something, cool. But the Rebels is awesome, and I feel like that's pretty universally loved. If people forget that this is a Disney era, they premiered on Disney XD. Okay, it brought back Dave Filoni and a lot of the people who worked on Clone Wars. It's a sequel series in a lot of ways to the Clone Wars. It's an incredible show. Those 4 seasons of TV are some of my favorite Star Wars ever put to screen. The final 2 episodes of season 2, incredible. The reintroduction of Darth Maul in Rebels, Vader, Ahsoka, so much goodness. There's so many great moments of like, revenge is not the Jedi way. I am no Jedi. Oh, so good. It gives me chills. My nipples get rock hard. It's top tier, dude. Then look at the movies. The Force Awakens. Some people had the opinion that it was like a soft reboot version of A New Hope. I don't disagree with that entirely. It's a great movie on its own. People can have all what kind of revisionist history as they want. People were hyped when that movie came out. The hype around The Force Awakens coming out I don't think that hype will ever happen again.
No.
At this point. Now, Star Wars would have to disappear for another 30 years for it to do that. Okay? But the hype was huge. And I was eating it up. And I love The Force Awakens, man. I think it's a great return to the franchise. Every time I put it on, I feel something, Chewie, we're home. Like all the trailers building up to it. That first trailer where you saw Kylo from the back spark the saber with the exhaust on the side. Dude, the hype was real. That movie is awesome. Okay? Then we got Rogue One. Amongst the best Star Wars movies that's ever come out. People oftentimes say it's their favorite in the Disney era. All right, so right now, we're batting 100. Then we get The Last Jedi. This is where the division started, and this is where people completely lost faith in Disney if they didn't like it. I love The Last Jedi. I think The Last Jedi is a great Star Wars movie. Is it the best Star Wars movie? No. Does it need to be the best Star Wars movie? No. People were just upset with how they treated Luke. Now, just to explain myself for anybody who's watching and thinking, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I love Star Wars, man. I know this world in and out. We're watching the same franchise. And I was also frustrated when they announced that, or when they came out and that Luke was not going to be the Jedi Jesus that I knew he was. But when that movie came out for me, I was depressed, heavily depressed. And that movie was like a light in the day. I remember that Haley and I, my wife, that Jeremy knows, we actually got in a fight on the drive there too. Oh. But then the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away started. And I just remember that like we touched each other's thighs and like all of it went away. that we were kind of quiet during the trailers. I was thinking, oh, I'm watching a new Star Wars movie and the vibes just aren't right. But then the movie started. And listen, I don't love everything about it. I could do without the Luke lightsaber toss over the shoulder. I think it kind of ruins the beautiful ending. You know, I don't mind that he was reluctant. I don't mind everything else they do. I don't need him sucking on, blue milk from the tea.
Hey, shout out green milk.
Yeah, right. I didn't need all of that, I also, a minor gripe, I hate that it's the only Star Wars movie where with a character with a voice doesn't say, what's it called?
I got a bad feeling.
I got a bad feeling about this. BB-8 says it. Yeah. BB-8 is the character who says it.
That's so crazy because there's specifically in The Last Jedi, there's so many ample moments to say.
Yeah, I know. So that was kind of like Rian Johnson really trying to put everything like really subvert every expectation. Yeah. So it's at the beginning of the movie when they're going to attack the dreadnought and BB-8 goes beep, 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 beep. And then and mind you only know this because Rian Johnson confirmed that was what it is. And then Poe says like happy beeps, buddy. He said. So that's the moment that it happens. Yeah. I only know that because I saw the interview with it, but I was really depressed. So to see my hero as a kid, like falter and be down, and then ultimately come back with the biggest Jedi moment at the end, and have the classic, George Lucas moment of like it rhymes. It's like poetry, it rhymes, and he has his version of what Ben does in A New Hope, where he uses the Force to hold off the main villain as our heroes escape and ultimately becomes one with the Force in that moment. I know some people like to simplify it with this, like, he used so much of the Force that he disappeared. But it's like, we've seen that, like, Ben stood there and let Vader just swipe his clothes. His clothes didn't get burned. And he just falls down. Like, and we just bought it because that Star Wars has always done like things where they've expanded the lore. If anything, that was the criticism people had of the new one, Mandalorian and Grogu, is they didn't feel like the lore wasn't expanded. But then you expand the lore, and people are like, "Wow, now we're hallucinating," or putting out like hallucinations. It's just like, dude, or holograms. It's just like, dude, shut the fuck up, dude. And so, listen, if you didn't like The Last Jedi, it's fine. There's little things like, is Rose the most interesting character in the world? No. But there's so much that works. I like the journey of Rey and Kylo in the movie. I really like the throne room scene. I don't mind that they killed off Snoke personally, like because he was just another Palpatine. Yeah. I think that Rian Johnson wanted to flip some things on their head a little too much. Yes. My thoughts on, and we're gonna move away from the sequel trilogy because this is the most eye-rolly portion because this is where people get the most hot about it. Because honestly, this is where a lot of the Star Wars fans jumped off, and they call them the Star Wars fans. They don't watch everything. I'm not saying you have to watch everything to be a Star Wars fan, but just like they're like saying that everything that comes out Star Wars wise is bad, but they only watch the live action stuff. It's like, how about you suck my balls? But so whatever. I think they should have had a writer do all three movies. One writer, one director, or multiple directors and one writer. I think what Colin Trevorrow was writing for the third one seemed really awesome. Duel of the Fates.
Sounds insane.
Dude, if you saw the leaks and everything, it looked like it was going to be amazing. And it looked like they were going to do some actual payoffs to storylines, like Finn doing the Stormtrooper revolt at the end, and like Rey being trained by.
Don't even get me started on Finn.
Yeah, there's so much that they messed up. And listen, here's what I'll concede. Despite my love for the first two, I think The Rise of Skywalker is a film I enjoy, I don't love. I think more than anything, they listen to the audience a little bit too much. And every little complaint that The Last Jedi had, they tried to retcon and fix. And I think you should have just told the audience, just let us make it worth it. Let us make it worth it. Because if Luke lost his hand at the end of Empire Strikes Back, and then doesn't have a hand the next one, and he's, I don't know, sad and he never saves the day, then sure, you can be like, man, they really took a duke on this character. But they didn't do that. You know what I mean? He loses. And at the time, you can look up reviews for the Empire Strikes Back when it came out. Like, it wasn't, some people were like, oh, the hero's lost, like it wasn't. But they paid it off, and they gave us the most beautiful conclusion. Like, I already knew also when The Rise of Skywalker was coming out, there was no way you're going to give me a better final 30 minutes than Return of the Jedi has. Like, the final moments of Return of the Jedi, that final whole thing, the final moments, Luke seeing the Force Ghost, him going back, the music that's playing, going into the credits, it's the perfect ending. So I do agree that The Rise of Skywalker was a ginormous step down compared to the first two, but I don't hate any of them. I don't think they're terrible movies. So if we're saying What's the weakest thing that I've said I don't like so far? The Rise of Skywalker. But now to just jump around. The Mandalorian. Some people don't like the third season. I just don't like that Jack Black and Lizzo episode. But I think The Mandalorian as a whole is a great show. Those first 2 seasons are epic. The Book of Boba Fett, it's not the best, but it's fun. And if you've seen the Clone Wars and Rebels and you see like his connection with like Cad Bane who shows up at the end, it feels like it plays off of that. If you don't know who Cad Bane is because you've never seen anything animated, then maybe that doesn't work for you. But I think the show is fun. Obi-Wan Kenobi, did we need the whole storyline with the Inquisitor character and her revenge plot for Anakin? No. But all the stuff with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen is absolutely awesome. But yeah, the little chase scene with Princess Leia in the forest that people like to harp on, not the best. But all the stuff with the title character and Darth Vader is awesome. Like, absolutely awesome. The Bad Batch, awesome. When were they introduced? In the final season that Disney gave us of the Clone Wars because it was canceled. Before Disney bought it, they brought it back. They gave us a final season. The final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars is some of the best on-screen stuff ever. Ever. Darth Maul now has a TV show, a character people have wanted to have as a TV show for the longest time. That first season was amazing. The Acolyte, it's the weakest of the Star Wars shows in my opinion. They just feels like it's not as bad as people make it out to be in my opinion, but it's ultimately the one that has like the least stakes and story altogether. Resistance, maybe as well, you could say is in that lower tier, but it's kind of like a harmless show. Young Jedi Adventures, it's for the little ones. It's for the little ones. But it's a harmless show. I think if you got kids that are in the preschool age, it's totally fun. I've watched every episode. Is it for me? No. It's like for like Bob the Builder like level kids. You know what I mean? But it's Star Wars, but it's cool. Star Wars Visions. What? 3 awesome seasons where every episode is an anthology episode done by different anime studios, and then they just brought in different animation studios, reinventing what Star Wars is to them. So cool. Then let's look at and that's just the shows and the Skeleton Crew. We got like a freaking E.T. Goonie style Star Wars show that doesn't affect the rest of this timeline. You don't got to worry about Luke Skywalker being bothered with. It's just a fun, cool side adventure. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I don't know if you've seen all these things I'm referencing, but it was awesome. Andor.
There it is.
I mean, this show was talked about amongst some, like it was like literally getting like Emmy nominations and things of that nature. It was a phenomenal show, an incredible drama, arguably the best written Star Wars thing that's come out in the Disney era. Definitely not as pulpy as like The Mandalorian and all the other more pulpy sci-fi stuff, but a great drama within Star Wars. So you have, number one, the Disney era has given us so many different flavors of Star Wars, which is what it's all about, you know? And then on top of that, if we're moving away from like on-screen storytelling, that like movies and shows, there's been so many great books and comics. Yes, some of my favorites are still in the old canon. I'm not going to lie. The Darth Bane trilogy, absolutely adore it. I wish it was canon. It's not. I hope that they make that canon one day. But they pulled Thrawn in, brought him into to Rebels. Now he's been in multiple series, including in live action, played by the same voice actor. That's been another thing too, is like this great translation from like animation to live action that a lot of other series aren't currently doing. I know DC is currently planning to do that, but they haven't done it yet. Star Wars is doing it. And I think they've done it great for the most part. A lot of times bringing the same voice actor or the same person, like Bo-Katan, played by Katie Sackhoff in The Clone Wars and Rebels and in The Mandalorian. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, outside of that, books and comics, there's been some great ones. The High Republic initiative just ended, and that was awesome. Super, super cool. New era. The artwork for the comics was super cool. Cool characters, cool world building. And then you have... the video games, and I'll wrap it up with this because I'm rambling so much. The video games, they've given us... Here's my biggest gripe with the video games. I feel like back in the day, when we were growing up, there was a lot of Star Wars video games all the time. But we've just learned video game development these days for all studios is really slow. But they gave us 2 Battlefront games. The first one, sure, it was limited to the OT trilogy, the original trilogy. But the second one, even though it had some issues with microtransactions at launch, they really fixed it with updates. And now if you hop on and play, it's awesome. It's got tons of characters, tons of worlds, huge maps. It's got some of the best graphics of any Star Wars game. It's a lot of fun. The 2 Jedi games with Cal Kestis, Cameron Monaghan. People love those games. Jedi and Survivor. Fallen Order and Survivor. What are we bitching about? Then if you like flight simulators, they gave us Squadron. I played that game probably like a good 30 something hours the first week it came out. I'm not huge on first person flight simulators, but I played through the campaign. I played a bunch online. I haven't really picked it up since, but it was a lot of fun. And I could see, like, if you're into that kind of a game, you should love it. The graphics are great. The gameplay is smooth. It looks good. It plays well. We're about to get Star Wars Racers. It's just a callback to the old
right.
Racers. It's coming out soon. We got a tactical game akin to things like XCOM or Midnight Suns that's coming right around the corner as well. There's the next Star Wars Survivor game that's coming, or a Jedi game that's coming. And I think I'm missing another one in the mix. But the point being, like, we've been eating pretty good more than not. And I'm not saying you have to love all these. I'm not saying all of these have to feel like the way that Revenge of the Sith makes you feel, or the way that Empire or the original Star Wars. I'm not saying it has to. But to pretend that we've just gotten straight slop because there's been a couple of missteps is just crazy to me. Not to mention, Disney also gave us theme park expansions. You can go now to multiple places in this state, 2 places, and go and walk into a whole section. And lately, they've started bringing OT characters into the one in California. You can go and walk up to a Millennium Falcon. You can ride multiple rides that are pretty fun. And in an immersive world, you can go build a lightsaber. Is it overpriced like a theme park? Yeah, but that's anything. But I just think, like, when we look at what Disney has done with Star Wars, the idea that it's just done irreparable, never going back damage, it's just like, it's such a I'm stuck in my ways mentality because of the fact that they didn't like certain things. I've also come to the place for me where, like, if I see a Star Wars thing that I don't like, because there's so much that I do like, and also I take it all, the books and the comics. You know, it's like when I read a Star Wars book. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're okay. And so when I watch a show, if it's on the okay side, I'm not upset because maybe I read a book that was great. You know, I don't know. So that's my last hot take. Very long-winded, but I feel like I had to really clear everything there.
You got it off your chest. That's what's important. I'm glad this is like a therapy session almost with that. So what I have to say for that, I haven't watched everything. I haven't read everything, indulged in everything. I do have my issues with some of these projects, but I do agree. Just because the name Disney is behind these things, and this extends out to Kathleen Kennedy too. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, it's Disney, it's Kathleen Kennedy, ever since it changed, just because now it's a little different, it's bad, automatically. Right. No matter what you do, even with the acclaim of the tippity top of what the Disney era has done with Andor, with those final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, those 2 in particular for me are amongst my favorite Star Wars things. Yeah. Like, no matter what era, whatever medium it is, right, those 2 alone solidified that it was worth it. Yeah. No matter what else I think about the rest of it. Right. Andor specifically. In our Critics Association, we got the 2nd season of Andor. I never watched the first season, just because I never got around to it. Right. And I'm not the biggest TV guy either. Like, it takes a lot for me to watch a show, just because I always would want to watch a movie. Have you still not seen the first season of Andor? No. Oh, you have not? Okay. But as soon as we got that 2nd season, I literally binged the first season because we had, I think it was like 1 to 2 weeks to watch it or something. We actually had 3 weeks, I think. We had 3 weeks? Yeah, we had a decent amount of time, I remember. Perfect. I think I only gave myself 2 weeks then. Yeah, you watched it fast. Yeah. I literally binged it all. That show was so, and this is coming from a guy who still is, and especially at the time, was not as interested in Star Wars as I used to be. Through no fault of like what we're getting for Star Wars. It's just that, there was like some other stuff I'd rather watch. It just became one of those things. Like, right. But Andor, man, even if it was just Andor, let alone, me loving the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and still being positive on the 3rd season, and being overly, let's just say, like, okay to positive on the sequel trilogy, right, with still having faults. Again, there are so many high points. Even in the sequel trilogy, even in the shows that I dislike that I've seen, like The Acolyte, I still love some of the stuff I've seen from it, even if I didn't love the overall show. Some of the best lightsaber choreography. Exactly. Yeah. That's the, you talk about something that people have been wanting for a while, and then they get it, and they're like complaining about how it's done. You're like,
Right.
okay, you just can't win.
Right.
I think that's ultimately actually the theme of this is that you cannot win
Right.
with people.
You can't.
We love the internet. Obviously, a lot of what we do is on the internet.
Right.
But that's also, unfortunately, where it harbors all of the toxic views and just unhappiness that people have.
Right.
And then they kind of funnel it into what, unfortunately, has become one of the most toxic fan bases.
Right.
Like you talk about Rose, right? Did not love her character. But guess what? I moved on with my day.
Right.
And I tried to focus on the stuff that I did like and just waited for the next one.
Right.
It got to the point you mentioned Ahmed Best earlier, where they literally drove the actress that played Rose off social media because she was getting bullied so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You talk about people taking things too seriously for film and taking Star Wars too seriously. How in the world is that so important to you that a new character wasn't as good as you wanted it to be?
Right.
That you had to bully a person off the internet?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to Ahmed Best, Jake Lloyd.
Yeah.
10 years old playing Anakin Skywalker and getting destroyed. So yeah, man, it's a nightmare to see how people have treated some of these actors over something like this. But I'm glad that you agree for the most part. Like that there's definitely far better than there is negative.
Yeah, I mean, and like, let's say even if it were the only project that I enjoyed was Andor.
Yeah.
Who cares at the end of the day?
Right.
Like so many people are enjoying it, and you can just do what I kind of do, which is just not watch some of it.
Yeah, you
like
just pick and choose.
You have the power to pick and choose. You have the power to also stop.
Yeah.
A pause button, an exit button, all those things exist for.
I think another thing people forget sometimes too is like for longtime Star Wars fans that were like reading, and mind you, some of them are the ones that are upset too. But like, some of the books and comics, these things were coming out around after the original trilogy, around the prequel trilogy, and after the prequel trilogy. And as somebody who was ingesting that content, there was plenty of duds.
Yeah.
There were some that were great. There were some, it's like you read books. It's like not every book is amazing.
No. And guess what I do if I don't like a book? I just stop reading it.
Yeah. And even if you read it, it's like, I'm not going to lose my mind over
Exactly.
it. The thing is, like, now that it's like more of these stories are going to screen than they are just a page. I mean, there's hundreds of Star Wars books before they got rid of this. You know what I mean? Like quite a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Between like novels, comics, novelizations of the movies that kind of changed and recontextualized the movies to a degree. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, I'm glad you agree. What's your last hot take?
So my last hot take, this one, I feel like you'll agree with it too. Again, I feel like a lot of my hot takes are kind of to people who should listen to this.
Yeah, you just wanted to, you need a therapy of your own.
Yeah. Not seeing movies because they're too old. I just cannot trust your taste.
Agreed.
People would genuinely say they can't watch something from before they were born.
Yeah.
That genuinely hurts so much because they're missing out on greatness. Yeah. And one of the things, and this is the excuse I can most understand from this viewpoint, is that the sound is not infuriating, but it just doesn't sound right, like in older films. You're good.
Bro.
Speaking of, no, I'm just kidding. It's one of those things where as soon as you just give yourself to it and give it a shot, you're most likely going to find something you enjoy. It might take some digging, but it's the same viewpoint of there's nothing original nowadays.
Right.
Are you digging for it? Are you looking for it? Are you trying to see if there's something that you like? If you just throw on Citizen Kane and you're not a fan of dramas, kind of on you.
Right.
It's the same thing too, where people can't watch a movie in black and white.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% with all this, dude. It's frustrating.
It's the most frustrating thing because you're closing yourself off from so many wonderful films.
Right.
A really, really good friend of mine, he won't watch The Lighthouse. He's into weird horror.
Because it's black and white?
Yeah. And I'm like, come on. Like, if you're into, like, kind of fun, weird movies and you don't want to watch The Lighthouse just because it's in black and white, what?
Yeah, and then at that point, it's a creative choice. I guess I can understand like being like, oh, I see a movie's black and white, and because it's old, so I'm like not into like films of that era or the limitations of filmmaking of the time. But if it's because like it's black and white in general, like I mean, there's movies like The Lighthouse, or even a couple years ago, Bradley Cooper did that one Maestro.
Yeah.
Great movie.
You have
It's
that.
like,
You have Come On from a couple years ago too.
right.
I mean, Francis Ha. Like there's so many black and white films in different genres, even nowadays. And even if your whole thing is because of the filmmaking of back then, you'd be shocked to see how technologically advanced some of those films still were.
Right.
Speaking of the classic horror films, the monsters movies, like some of the stuff that they get in those movies, truly insane how they get it. And some movies can't even do it that well today.
Right.
Like it just depends on what you're trying to get.
Right.
And it's going to take a little digging. Film's over 100 years old.
Right.
Like let's just say you're a 20-year-old with this take. This is not who I'm coming for, by the way.
Right.
Just to say, you're negating 80 plus years of films just because it was from before you were born and it's too old.
Right.
Like, down the line now, and I'm sure people are like this now too. I haven't heard it yet, but like if you can't watch like the original Shrek or Toy Story just because the animation isn't to the standard that is today, great films, are they not?
Right.
Like it's about losing yourself in the film no matter how it looks even. And even then, you can still get gorgeous shots.
Right.
You just think about some of those films from back in the day. You think about like that movie, oh my God, it's the Lumiere brothers where they go to the moon. I'm forgetting the name of it. But it's, from like the late 1800s.
Gotcha.
One of the most iconic shots is the moon landing on
it's
the rocket ship landing on the moon with the person's face.
Right.
That's a beautiful looking film. Does it look a little quote unquote janky just because they had to use different techniques? Sure, but if you take it for what it is and you put it into the context of things, it's beautiful.
And
looking.
there's fun to those kind of movies, you know? Like, I mean, it's the same with like if we're going in a different direction, like the old like horror flicks of like the giant bugs, and attacking a city. Like they always looked funny because or even like I'm a huge fan of like the Godzilla films, but like not the originals, obviously one thing, but the sequels later on, once you got to like the really goofy points where it's just a wrestling match with guys in rubber suits in a small like in a small scale city, like those are awesome, but there's a fun to the cheese of it. And so, I'm the same way. My sister, funny enough, is one of those people who like, I don't think she doesn't like to watch things that are older than like the 2010s. And I've gotten into that with her. Like she's one I can't really like sell on it 'cause she's very like stuck in her ways. She won't watch this, so it doesn't matter. But I know like I was at my family's house recently and my dad was telling me that he got her to watch Jaws. And I'm sure she had seen it at some point, but she just didn't remember it. And she didn't like it. She just thought it was like slow and boring. She thought that the shark looked so bad and that the acting was bad. I mean, saying the acting is bad in Jaws is crazy. I told her, of course, the shark looks dated by today's standards, But she was just like, yeah, it just wasn't good. And I'm just like, there's so much more to that movie, like even beyond like the shark. I was like, I said, even that
point.
I go, even the monologue at the end of the movie is amazing. She goes, what scene was that? I'm like, what do you mean what scene was that? There's like a clear, like the movie stops for a monologue. But anyway, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. So I don't think this is a hot take. But I will say, you know what? I don't think it's a hot take for anybody who's into film.
Yeah.
But I do think, well, people were really into film.
Yeah. It's just
film as a whole. I'm not talking about like I liked Avengers and now I like movies.
No, for sure. But so I've worked in the film business for a few years.
Yeah.
I went to film school.
Right.
You'd be shocked.
I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because I think that there's people like that in all worlds. I come across that sometimes too. You know what I mean? I'm also, sometimes not to dog on your generation too much, but I work with a lot of Gen Zers who you're on the cusp. I wouldn't even count you. I think you're more millennial coded, honestly.
Look, I'm being real with you. I'm safely in it. It's like 3 years. I think I'm safely in it or something like that. 2-3 years.
I think you're only in it by like 2 years.
2-3 years, I think, is still comfortable. Granted, there are also now we're just getting into science talk, but Gen Z is split into two as well.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like you're definitely more millennial coded than you are Gen Z. But like I have coworkers who like they'll tell me that they watched a movie on TikTok or they watched parts of it in clips, and so they'll talk as if they know the movie. And I'm like, huh? So I was talking about Avengers coming out later this year, and one of them was like, they're still doing those. I go, yeah, the Marvel franchise didn't go anywhere. Like, there's been a billion since, and they were like, oh, I thought like everybody died. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, didn't like, Captain America and Spider-Man and stuff like that die? I'm like some characters died, but like the franchise still been going. And they were like, oh, I was like, where did you see this? Like, I just saw clips on TikTok, and I was like, for them, they're like, oh, I've seen that movie. And it's like, I had another friend too that tried to tell me that he's seen Sinners because he's seen just some videos about Sinners on TikTok. He's like, I know enough about it, Smoke and Stack, and I'm like, are you? You make me want to say words that have been like
holding in for years,
not even holding in that are no longer allowed.
Yeah.
But anyway, dude. Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take, but I can understand.
Yeah.
Like, as in my mind, it doesn't feel like a hot take. Yeah. But I'm sure there's people out there that make it feel like it is a hot take. But yeah, it's I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's a shame. I think if you can't watch an older movie, you know what I mean? I always tell people, like, for me, like, as a horror guy, like, some of the best horrors in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's some good horror still, but like that came out in the 90s and the 2000s, but like the 80s, I think, is like the golden age of horror, So
I was told recently that Gremlins was too old.
That's crazy.
And this was a millennial like that told me that. I'm like, come on.
Crazy.
You're not too far born from that movie.
Yeah.
Like, it just hurts. And like, especially, being my age.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how can I appreciate Gremlins,
What I always tell people that's like, just, whenever they tell me like, oh, that movie's old,
Yeah.
And then it'll be like the same year that they were born. I'm like, so you're old.
Yeah.
And they're always like, no, I'm not old. I'm like, but that movie came out the same year.
Yeah.
Like the actual movie, you're actually older than that movie.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's crazy too. Like how it's so crazy how people are also so quick to call like a movie old or a piece of media old. And it's like, 2009.
Yeah.
When were you born? Oh, like 2000.
Right.
Do you not see the irony in that?
Right. Oh, I remember that there was a coworker one time I worked with that was like, hey, I watched a really old movie because they know I'm into movies. They were like, I watched a really old movie the other day. And I'm like, oh, really? What'd you watch? They're like, Maze Runner. I'm like, oh, that came out like 2014. Yeah. Like 2014, 2015. I'm like, so yeah, I don't know. But I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. It's just so sad because I think a lot of our hot takes have to do with kind of one central theme. And that's people are afraid to be happy.
Yeah.
They're afraid to like let go and just enjoy the greater things in life just because they have this preconceived notion that, hey, that's something I don't think I would enjoy. So I'm going to stay away from it for the rest of my life and not feel any other type of way about it. Or one person said it was bad that one time.
Right.
20 other people said it was good, but that one person said it was bad.
Yeah.
It's
that's my least favorite thing is people just like bandwagoning on like a take. Like, listen, I don't mind like a hot take. I don't mind somebody like, we were talking about Mike earlier, like with the Barbarian. Like, I love that that's the case. But like, like even me, like we do film criticism. Like, I don't ever want anybody. This is just my take, and you hope that people who follow you trust your opinion. So it's kind of like that's why they follow you. Or they're like, I like the way this guy talks about movies, even if I disagree with him. I mean, there's people that I watch, like bigger, people on YouTube that do film criticism that I don't always agree with their takes, but I like how they talk about things, And I think people forget that that's okay. Like, you don't always have to agree, like, so anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of it.
We got to the bottom of it,
hopefully
man.
next time we'll get even spicier takes.
Yeah.
People were kind of tame this time.
They was just pretty tame. I won't lie. Maybe I was expecting something a little crazier, but like I think these were pretty tame. But it was a good chat, man. It was a good chat. I will be completely honest. I gotta pee. So let's
I'll do an outro now. Thank you, Anthony, for being on the show once again.
Course,
please plug yourself.
Well, thank you so much. Anthony A. Perez is my name. If you go on, I think at this point now, I've thankfully got myself to a place that if you just type in my name on YouTube, I should just pop up, talk about movies, TV shows. I have a podcast of my own that I'm bringing back called Random Rambling, where I talk about random things with people. And Jeremy's been on the channel many times before. Weekly reviews for old movies and new movies, early reviews. Both Jeremy and I are part of a critics association, so we get early access to movies every week, which is really awesome. So you can always come over there to check that out. And if you like short form content, Instagram and TikTok, my handle is the AA Perez. So yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, dude. Genuinely.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being on. Great conversation. You can find all his info down in the description below. Please check him out. It's been fun to have him on here multiple times now. Being on his channel has been great too. So check those videos out. Check out our talk on Toy Story for Yeti Talks. I hope you guys enjoyed these hot takes. Be sure to let me know your hot takes down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Be sure to stay tuned for Yeti Films content, and I'll watch you later.